Our protagonist is hanging with his hands tied from a high place. And how did he get into this situation? I don't know yet. We'll see soon. Below him, a group of people watch him, while some zombies are kept trapped in a chain trap. A woman calls our protagonist Jiang Xiaoyong. Our protagonist remembers past events. Two young people, a man and a woman, are injured and covered in blood. The woman asks Jiang Xiaoyong if life doesn't seem meaningless now that all her friends are dead. Jiang Xiaoyong blames himself, saying that everything is his fault and that he caused that to his friends. Then he screams, calling that woman evil, and says she deserves a miserable death. She hugs a man who was next to her and comments, "Look, he's mad at me again!" The guy in the white coat smiles and suggests that they torture the man slowly to vent his anger. He says they need to be thankful for the supplies as they will now be able to live comfortably for a few more months. Then he presses a button. A rope that held our prota is released. The poor protagonist, still with his hands tied, falls hard to the ground inside the zombie cage. Zombies approach the man, hungry. They roar, advancing voraciously. One of the zombies bites the prota's neck, who screams in pain. Meanwhile, more and more zombies tear at his skin as his body evaporates. "Goodbye, man. I didn't even know you properly, but I'm gonna miss you." Our protagonist, in a guts-like scene, shouts the names Kui Jing and Li Shuxiong. He claims that if he had another chance to live, he would make them pay for what they did. Then out of nowhere, he wakes up. A woman calls out to Jiang Xiaoyong, questioning what he means. She asks him why he hasn't added her name to the house deed yet and if he really loves her. The poor guy, confused, wonders what is happening. He wonders if he was reborn to the time before the apocalypse. Then he remembers his past life when he was tricked by Kui Jing. He says that not only did she steal the inheritance his parents left him, she also left him homeless. A global catastrophe strikes, turning most humans into zombies and plunging the world into chaos. People run, desperate, while zombies attack. With the help of friends he made while wandering, he built a safe zone and managed to survive the apocalypse. Who would have thought that the deceitful Kui Jing would pretend to be a desperate person seeking refuge and win her sympathy? Kui Jing opens the safe zone gate to a truck full of armed men. Our prota reveals that she was sent by the enemy to destroy them. He recalls the 400,000 yuan dowry he paid, without missing a penny. The slut asks the man if he heard her. Our protagonist watches her with a furious look, while in his mind he calls her a bitch. But he calms down and thinks that he cannot act impulsively now. Then he says he will give him a week. Then he pushes the bitch out of his house and tells her that he understands and that he can go. She is confused and asks him what is happening. She wonders when Jiang Xiaoyong became so assertive and recalls that he used to be her lackey. Jiang closes the door and watches her, thinking about her next steps. Then he watches a digital clock that reads 5 p.m. on May 7th, 2034. He thinks that with only a month left, he needs to immediately start preparing for the impending apocalypse. But out of nowhere, he is startled to see a message in his vision. The apocalypse system is now active. A new mission is released by the system, Preparation for the Apocalypse, with the following requirements. Own a piece of land and prepare a year's worth of supplies. The reward for the mission is 10 points, which can be exchanged for rewards in the system store. The man wonders what mission reward points are and what they can be used for. The system shows the store with the following items: Physical Enhancement Potion for 20 points, Apocalypse Farmer Supply Box, level 1 for 2 points, and Protagonist Supply Box, level 1, for 10 points. There is also the option to upgrade the store for 2 points. Then he is surprised and remembers that he almost forgot that in his previous life he was saving and investing in real estate, and that he saved every penny to collect Kui Jing's dowry, which left him malnourished. He takes his cell phone from the table. Looking at his cell phone screen, he says that in a month, zombies will be everywhere. He decides that while there is still good food, he should eat well. Now, in an extremely luxurious building, a table with several dishes of food is laid out. He wonders if this is the legendary expensive takeout with 3 Michelin stars. He wonders what a 300 yuan roast pork tastes like. Then he takes the food to his mouth with his chopsticks. It's then that an explosion of flavors happens. He shouts, saying that the food is very delicious. After tasting all that richness, he begins to devour the entire banquet in front of him. However, his cell phone starts ringing, and guess who it is? That's right, the friend of the biggest bitch that ever walked the earth, Kui Jing. Then he wonders if the manipulative woman cried to her little friend. Wen Shuya asks Jiang Xiaoyong what he meant and how he could treat Kui Jing like that. She says that Kui Jing just wanted him to prove his love, and that if he can't even give her his property, how can he say he loves her? Wen Shuya continues, saying that Kui Jing was just testing him and that he failed. She demands that Jiang Xiaoyong take the house deed and 1 million yuan in cash to apologize. Otherwise, she advises you to prepare for the breakup. An angry Jiang Xiaoyong shouts into the phone asking who Wen Shuya thinks he is and says she can't test him. He orders her to disappear. Wen Shuya tries to talk to Jiang Xiaoyong again, but he hangs up on her. Jiang Xiaoyong takes a deep breath, lying down on the sofa. Then he remembers the first requirement of the mission, owning a piece of land. Our prota says he will build the strongest fortress on that land, not only defensible, but also close to a water source and forest. Then a few hours pass. At a real estate agency, a broker asks Jiang Xiaoyong if he is there to rent or buy a house. Jiang Xiaoyong responds that he is not there for either option. Xiao Ning, the real estate employee, is instructed by manager Zhu to help move the boxes in the warehouse as they received a lot of toilet paper that day. But she retorts saying that she needs to attend to the customer. Manager Zhu scolds Xiao Ning for forgetting everything he taught her and sends her to work in the warehouse. Then, manager Zhu says that Jiang Xiaoyong is a broke loser with cheap clothes who probably can't even afford a bathroom. Xiao Ning asks the manager what he said and accuses him of looking down on people. He is irritated by Xiao Ning's question. Manager Zhu tells Jiang Xiaoyong that he is a person who looks down on people like him. The manager challenges Jiang Xiaoyong, saying that if he can buy a bathroom, he will go live eating shit. Jiang Xiaoyong watches manager Zhu silently. Then our prota claims that he will find some hot new properties for Xiao Ning later. Jiang Xiaoyong tells the broker that he is not there to rent or sell a house that day. Meanwhile, he smiles, showing his black credit card. Jiang Xiaoyong declares that he is there to buy land. The real estate employees are shocked by Jiang Xiaoyong's statement. One of them asks if he knows how much money it costs. Another is surprised, as it is the first time he has seen someone buying land. A third employee thinks that Jiang Xiaoyong is a real rich person, a real big spender. Xiao Ning, with a smile on her face, is ready to meet Jiang Xiaoyong and offers to give her a detailed introduction. Manager Zhu, suspicious, says that anyone can brag, but when it comes time to pay, he doesn't believe Jiang Xiaoyong will be able to get the money. Xiao Ning shows our prota the currently available plots of land and asks him to analyze them while she explains. Jiang Xiaoyong dismisses Xiao Ning's explanations and says that he will inform her of his requirements so that she can see if there is anything that matches. Xiao Ning, surprised by Jiang Xiaoyong's attitude, asks him to continue. Jiang Xiaoyong describes the land he is looking for, close to mountains and water, preferably with running water, convenient transportation, and ideally with factories or large buildings. Xiao Ning thinks, trying to remember any terrain with these characteristics. The manager asks if there is land in the East District that fits Jiang Xiaoyong's requirements. Xiao Ning asks manager Zhu if he is talking about the T-City land and states that it is no use, as the factories there are all unfinished, unresolved projects that cannot be sold to customers. Then the bastard manager Zhu responds by saying that Jiang Xiaoyong is a bankrupt with absurd demands and that he is not there to buy land, but to cause problems. Jiang Xiaoyong questions whether the land in the East District really meets all his requirements. Xiao Ning confirms this, but warns that the factories on the land are unfinished and that the construction team leader has fled. Jiang Xiaoyong thinks that the location is great and meets all his needs. He figures that putting up barbed wire will make the place easy to defend and that the unfinished factories will save a lot of money and time. He decides to buy the land and asks if they can sign the contract and make payment at that time. Xiao Ning, taken by surprise, apologizes. Xiao Ning asks if Jiang Xiaoyong really wants to buy the land with the unfinished factories. He confirms that he wants to buy the land and asks them to sign the contract and make the payment quickly, as someone is waiting to eat fresh shit later. Manager Zhu, in shock, holds up a receipt and exclaims that this is impossible. He looks at the receipt in disbelief and questions how anyone can spend millions on land with unfinished factories. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles, pats manager Zhu on the shoulder and says he made the payment. He challenges the manager to fulfill his end of the bargain and, if he likes it, promises to send a super chat later. An employee films manager Zhu with his cell phone, saying that he has already started the live broadcast and that he should hurry up. The other says his stomach isn't feeling well that day but promises it will be fresh. Our prota walking outside offers lobster to manager Zhu, saying he ate it the day before and he should try it. The system shows that the mission Preparing for the Apocalypse has been updated and the requirement of owning a piece of land has been completed. Jiang Xiaoyong says that he spent all the dowry money on buying the land and now needs to find a way to get money to stock up on supplies. A man watches our boy and wonders what Jiang Xiaoyong is doing there. Then, hearing a scream, he turns back. Manager Zhu begs for help, saying he doesn't want to eat poop. Other men hold him calm down, the guy in white social media comes close and asks what they are doing. Well, mission more than complete. Qijing smokes a cigarette. She calls Li Shuxiong and says he still remembers her. Qijing asks Li Shuxiong if he knew that Zhang Xiaoyong went to the real estate office that day to buy land. Qijing wonders in shock how Zhang Xiaoyong bought land and where he got the money from. She deduces that the 300,000 yuan payment must be the dowry money he saved. Qijing angrily wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong dares to use her money. Li Shuxiong advises her to calm down and go find Zhang Xiaoyong to ask what is going on. She says that Zhang Xiaoyong turned the tables on her and that he actually used her money. She declares that she will expose it online that day. Now we return to Zhang Xiaoyong's house. Sitting, he thinks that buying supplies and building a base requires a lot of money and wonders where he will get it. But that's when the girl appears, almost breaking down our prota's door. Qijing questions Zhang Xiaoyong about what he is doing and accuses him of wasting her money. Zhang Xiaoyong, confused, asks what she is talking about. Qijing, even more furious, asks Zhang Xiaoyong if he is crazy. Our prota doesn't react and says she's insane. Zhang Xiaoyong says he has a lot of money, showing a wad of bills to Qijing. He then states that he won't spend a dime on her. He warns Qijing that she shouldn't think that he doesn't know about her affair with Li Shuxiong. Qijing, in shock, wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong found out about her and Li Shuxiong. Wen Shuya tries to calm Qijing down and says it's just a misunderstanding between a couple. Our prota says that there is no misunderstanding and that Qijing is not his girlfriend, but old man Li Shuxiong's lover. He orders them both to disappear because just looking at them makes him feel irritated. Qijing, in shock, wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong knows about this, as they have always been very discreet when booking rooms. Wen Shuya scolds Qijing for not saying anything about the affair with Li Shuxiong. She wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong found out since Qijing got involved with that middle-aged man. Qijing tries to justify himself, saying they only booked rooms a few times. Wen Shuya suggests they go back and think of a plan as the situation is out of control. Qijing agrees, saying that's all they can do. Zhang Xiaoyong visits the land he bought and observes a factory. He says that's the factory he wants to renovate and asks how long it will take to complete. Construction machines work at full speed on your land. Zhang Xiaoyong talks to a foreman about renovations at the factory. The foreman explains that walls will be reinforced, guard towers will be built, barbed wire will be installed, explosion-proof steel doors will be thickened, and bulletproof tempered glass will be added. The foreman named Li from Peru Construction Company asks Zhang Xiaoyong which force he offended. Zhang Xiaoyong stops him and asks him not to ask too many questions, as knowing too much won't do him any good. He asks the foreman to just tell him how much it will cost to complete the job in a month. Foreman Li tells Zhang Xiaoyong that it is not possible to complete the work in a month. Then our prota interrupts him again, telling him to stop talking and that if he doesn't do it, there will be many others who will. He reminds the foreman that the lives of Paru employees are also important. Then he ends by asking if he has a conscience as a foreman. Foreman Li is embarrassed and tries to explain himself, saying that what he means is that it will cost more. Zhang Xiaoyong asks Li to name the price. Foreman Li explains that to complete the work in 1 month, Paru will need to work intensely and that the cost will be at least 20 million. Zhang Xiaoyong confirms the value of 20 million and asks the foreman to start the work. He also asks him to give him a deposit of 5 million yuan so they can start working. Zhang Xiaoyong says he will transfer the money within a week. Foreman Li is extremely surprised. Zhang Xiaoyong says not to worry about the payment because if he doesn't pay, the land will be his. Foreman Li agrees. Xiaoning appears and calls Zhang Xiaoyong Brother Zhang. The girl asks what he is doing there. Zhang Xiaoyong, in his mind, remembers what had happened. Xiaoning and Qijing deceived him and stole his family fortune in the past life, but this time he will make them pay double. Zhang Xiaoyong, with Xiaoning clinging to him, asks again what she is doing there. Xiaoning asks Zhang Xiaoyong if that is the land he bought and comments that the landscape is very beautiful. She asks if he is planning to build a house there. Zhang Xiaoyong responds that what he builds is none of her business and pushes her away. Xiaoning wonders what is going on and comments that Zhang Xiaoyong is acting strangely. She remembers that normally just touching his hand would make him blush and his heart race. But But that day, even though she deliberately approached him, he didn't show any reaction. Our prota, observing the work, says that the gate needs to be expanded. Xiao Ning watches Zhang Xiaoyong from afar and thinks that she can't miss this golden opportunity. She plans to get closer to him now that Kui Jing fought with him so that the land can be hers. Zhang Xiaoyong, now sitting on the sofa at home, looks at 2 property deeds. He thinks that pawning the house to the bank only netted him 3 million yuan, which is not enough to cover the first phase of construction costs. He needs to find a way to get more money until he gets an idea. He thinks the apocalypse is imminent anyway, so even if he sells the house to several people, it doesn't matter. Then out of nowhere, someone knocks on the door insistently, asking them to open it. Zhang Xiaoyong, sitting on the sofa, complains that he is the old man again. He says that his downstairs neighbor, Grandpa Li, has some money, as he owns the first and second floors and wants to buy the third floor from him too. He originally intended to use the house as his wedding home, so he refused to sell it. Since then, Grandpa Li has been causing trouble, painting his door, piling up trash, placing funeral wreaths, and jamming the lock. He used all kinds of dirty tricks. So after a lot of shouting, our prota finally opens the door. Grandpa Li scolds Zhang Xiaoyong, saying that he was out at a nightclub the night before. Zhang Xiaoyong gets angry with Grandpa Li and shouts that he's had enough, that he went to bed before 10 the night before and wasn't at a nightclub. Our big boy says he doesn't mind as he heard clearly. He gets irritated by Grandpa Li's insistence on buying his house and decides to sell it to him. Grandpa Li is surprised by Zhang Xiaoyong's decision, but Zhang Xiaoyong tells Grandpa Li that he has one condition to sell the house. He explains that he won't hand over the house until 6 months later, so he needs to live there for another 6 months. Before that, Grandpa Li needs to transfer 5 million yuan to him at once so he can pay the mortgage on his new house. The old man hesitates. Zhang Xiaoyong tells Grandpa Li that if he doesn't agree, then forget it. Grandpa Li accepts the proposal, but demands that they sign a contract to prevent Zhang Xiaoyong from backing out of the deal. Our prota assures Grandpa Li that the contract is not a problem. Looking at the old man, he thinks that the poor guy can wait to die in his house. Zhang Xiaoyong says that when Grandpa Li's 5 million yuan is transferred, plus the 3 million yuan from the loan, he will have 8 million yuan. So he decides to first complete the system task and claim the reward. Zhang Xiaoyong, in front of the ground, thinks about how to use the 8 million yuan he will have after Grandpa Li's transfer. The system shows Zhang Xiaoyong that the mission Preparing for the Apocalypse is still active and that the next objective is prepare a year's worth of supplies. So he goes to a supermarket. He pushes a cart full of food. A man watches and thinks that Zhang Xiaoyong is mentally unstable. A supermarket employee watches Zhang Xiaoyong scared and asks the others to stay away from him. The woman wonders why he is buying so many things. The guy comments that Zhang Xiaoyong is another idiot who believes rumors about doomsday and starts laughing. The system notifies Zhang Xiaoyong that the task, Apocalypse Preparation, has been completed and that he has received 10 system points. He says that during the apocalypse, improving your attributes is important, but that the protagonist supply box costs exactly 10 points. So he says he doesn't need to hesitate and should take advantage of the first opportunity by choosing the protagonist supply box. The system notifies that the exchange is successful, 10 points have been deducted, and now Zhang Xiaoyong has 0 points. A glowing box appears. The box opens, revealing a ring. The system describes the item. Level 1 space ring. Features. The ring contains 500 cubic meters of space and time into space. Zhang Xiaoyong holds the ring and says he knew that the first purchase is always the best. He observes the ring and says if time stops inside the ring's space, it means even if he stores fresh produce, it won't spoil. The system releases a new mission, 10 years of sustenance. The objective is to obtain supplies for 10 years, and the reward is 20 points. Then, out of nowhere, a man in a suit, accompanied by security guards, approaches our prota and asks who is responsible for the confusion. Then he asks if that is Zhang Xiaoyong. Our protagonist wonders if the man is Yang Tao. Zhang Xiaoyong remembers Yang Tao, his schoolmate, who was a lackey following the school bully, Zhang Shengzhe. He was a guy who always intimidated the weak and feared the strong. He remembers being charged by Yang Tao at school and refusing to pay. Our boy had many conflicts with Yang Tao at school and did not expect to meet him there that day. Yang Tao angrily asks Zhang Xiaoyong what he is doing and orders him to put things back back or he will be rude to him. But then Jiang Xiaoyong mocks Yang Tao, asking if he is still bullying the weak. He questions whether this is the way the Horenfa supermarket treats its customers, since they are there to buy items. Yang Tao orders Jiang Xiaoyong to pay for the items now, or else not blame him for being rude. An hour later, the supermarket cashier is printing a long invoice. Yang Tao asks the cashier how much the purchase totaled. The cashier responds that the total is 56,883 yuan. Yang Tao orders Jiang Xiaoyong to pay for the items now. Then Jiang Xiaoyong, with all his speed, uses his black card powers to pay the bill. The credit card machine indicates transaction successful. Yang Tao gets angry. Then the bully walks away and says, "Let's go." Jiang Xiaoyong interrupts Yang Tao and his henchman. The bully, confused, questions Jiang Xiaoyong about what he is doing. Jiang Xiaoyong says that Yang Tao was very rude and he must apologize, otherwise he will return all the goods. Yang Tao gets angry and accuses Jiang Xiaoyong of looking for trouble. All the customers who observed the scene film the bully with their cell phones and say that they were very rude to our prota. Now he is just asking for an apology, which is not too much to ask. The woman asks Yang Tao to apologize and says that if he doesn't do it, they won't get out of there. One of the customers says he is recording a video for TikTok, and if he doesn't apologize, it will make him famous. Jiang Xiaoyong tells Yang Tao to apologize, and if the request is sincere enough, he will buy 10 times more. So after much begging, the bully agrees to apologize. Jiang Xiaoyong, smiling, challenges Yang Tao to bring the card machine so he can show his balance. Yang Tao in disbelief sees the balance of 700,000 on the card machine. Our prota orders Yang Tao to apologize and says that if he is sincere enough, he will keep buying. He swears that if he's lying, he's a son of a bitch. Yang Tao bows and apologizes. Jiang Xiaoyong puts his hand on the sucker's head and tells Yang Tao to remember not to be so reckless in the future and to leave room for others. Yang Tao asks Jiang Xiaoyong why he is buying so many things. Jiang Xiaoyong responds that it's his business and that he's planning something big. Yang Tao says he will need to find a wholesaler as the products in the supermarket stock will not be enough. Yang Tao responds by saying that since Jiang Xiaoyong works at the supermarket, he must know some wholesalers. He reminds Jiang Xiaoyong of Jiang Shengzhe, who now works in the wholesale business. Yang Tao calls Jiang Shengzhe and tells him that he has found a big client for him. Then, outside the market, a sports car passes by at high speed. He stops in front of our prota. Jiang Xiaoyong watches and says that the crazy guy must never have been fooled before. A man in a trench coat gets out of the car smoking. He asks Yang Tao if that is the big client he mentioned. Yang Tao tells Jiang Shengzhe that this is Jiang Xiaoyong and asks if he remembers. Jiang Shengzhe asks who Jiang Xiaoyong is. Yang Tao replies that he is his schoolmate. Then he finally remembers. Jiang Xiaoyong observa Jiang Shengzhe com desprezzo. Jiang Shengzhe smiles and says that Jiang Xiaoyong is a guy with a bit of backbone. Jiang Shengzhe looks at Jiang Xiaoyong's necklace and says it's just a fake brand. He shows contempt for people like Jiang Xiaoyong who pretend to be rich but are actually poor. Our prota says he doesn't know the brand of the necklace, as he bought it at a street stall. The guy gets annoyed and complains to Yang Tao, asking if that's the big client he mentioned, and says he's just wasting his time. Yang Tao tries to convince him, saying that he really is a great customer. Jiang Shengzhe kicks Yang Tao and curses him, saying that he is no big customer and that he has been in the business for years and knows who is rich and who is not just by looking. Jiang Xiaoyong says that his aura seems to be really weak and wonders how he can't even intimidate an illiterate person who looks down on people. Jiang Shengzhe grabs Jiang Xiaoyong by the collar of his shirt and asks him what he said. Our prota responds, "I said you despise people." Jiang Shengzhe is furious and asks Jiang Xiaoyong how dare he call him illiterate. So our prota is surprised and asks if it's okay to call him arrogant. After all, he didn't even care about that part. Yang Tao warns Jiang Xiaoyong, telling him not to provoke Jiang Shengzhe as he hates being called illiterate. Then the guy curses Yang Tao and tells him to shut up if he doesn't know how to speak properly. Jiang Shengzhe dares Jiang Xiaoyong to buy a whole load of goods from him that day, otherwise he will return home on all fours. Our prota tells the crazy person to stop pulling his shirt and showing his bank account number. Jiang Shengzhe receives a notification on his cell phone that 1 million has been transferred to his account. He questions whether Zhang Xiaoyong is serious. Our prota says that of course he's serious and asks if he thinks he's there to joke. He says that is the warehouse and that he wants to buy 5 million in products. He asks someone to load the truck and says he will pay the remaining 4 million when the products are ready. Zhang Shengzhe asks Zhang Xiaoyong what kind of products he wants. Then he replies that he wants rice, oil, salt, snacks, drinks, anything edible or drinkable. He will take it all. The guy smiles and tells Zhang Xiaoyong to go with him. In his mind, he thinks that he didn't expect to be so lucky, as he just received a batch of food close to its expiration date, and there is an idiot there to take it all. Zhang Shengzhe takes Zhang Xiaoyong into a warehouse and tells him that if he takes that batch of products, he will give him a 10% discount on the original wholesale price. But as our little boy wasn't born yesterday, in fact, it's the second time he's been born, he says it will depend on the quality of the products. Zhang Xiaoyong looks at the products in the warehouse. He says that, except for the outermost layer, the entire interior is food close to its expiration date. Zhang Xiaoyong takes out a bag of food and says that Zhang Shengzhe is a big cheat. Zhang Shengzhe is embarrassed and says that he didn't expect Zhang Xiaoyong to understand so much about products. Wow! But the only thing he did was look at the expiration dates of the products. I'm starting to think that this crazy person is actually illiterate. Zhang Shengzhe offers a 50% discount if Zhang Xiaoyong takes all the food close to its expiration date. Our prota says his 5 million is to buy the best quality products. As for the expiring food, he has other plans. Zhang Shengzhe asks in surprise what Zhang Xiaoyong's plans are. Then he says that as Zhang Shengzhe proposed, he will take all the food close to its due date, but that payment will be made a month later. The crazy man asks Zhang Xiaoyong what will happen if the products are all expired when he goes to pay. Our prota reassures him that he can mortgage his house. Zhang Shengzhe asks Zhang Xiaoyong why he wants those products, as he knows they are close to expiration date. He also asks what Zhang Xiaoyong's scheme is. Then he says that not only are products close to expiration, but that even expired products will be worth a fortune in a few days. Zhang Shengzhe confusedly asks what Zhang Xiaoyong means. Zhang Xiaoyong answers a call. The person on the other end of the line asks if that is Mr. Zhang and if he is selling a used house. Zhang Xiaoyong says he has other things to do and asks them to sort the products first. Yang Tao asks Zhang Shengji if he tricked him, so he responds wondering Zhang Xiaoyong's family is just middle class. How the hell did he get so much money? The old man who had called our prota hands him a wad of cash and says, "Mr. Zhang, here's the 400,000 deposit." He accepts Zhang Xiaoyong's condition to vacate the house in 3 months and asks them to sign the contract soon. Zhang Xiaoyong says that the old man hasn't even checked the house carefully and already wants to pay the deposit and sign the contract. He wonders how desperate he is to buy his house. Our big boy asks the old man why he is in such a hurry. The old man sighs and explains that his granddaughter needs to transfer schools and that they urgently need that house to live in. He says that he has been looking for houses in that area for days and that only Zhang Xiaoyong's is for sale. So he begs Zhang Xiaoyong not to back out of the deal. Zhang Xiaoyong tells the old man that he is very honest, telling him everything immediately, and asks if he is not afraid that he will raise the price. The poor guy panics and begs Zhang Xiaoyong not to do this, because the money in the house is all the family savings of 2 generations. Our prota reassures the old man, saying that he will not go back on the agreement. Then he signs the sales contract for the house. The old man is happy with the signing of the contract. Then he says goodbye to Zhang Xiaoyong and says that he will let him go back to his work and won't bother him anymore. Zhang Xiaoyong says goodbye to the man. Then our prota starts to think, seeing how kind and honest the old man is, he and his granddaughter probably wouldn't survive a month in the coming apocalypse. Zhang Xiaoyong calls the man, who was already leaving the apartment. He asks for the old man's current address. On the factory grounds, Foreman Li asks Zhang Xiaoyong about the second payment. Zhang Xiaoyong says he will transfer the money soon and asks how the construction progress is. Foreman Li says construction is 70% to 80% complete. He shows Zhang Xiaoyong the wall and the door, saying that everything is absolutely safe. Zhang Xiaoyong asks about the deposit. Foreman Li responds that the warehouse is an abandoned factory building, clean and ready for use at any time. Zhang Xiaoyong, holding the cell phone, says it is very good. Zhang Xiaoyong, still on the phone, orders Zhang Shengzhe to start delivering the goods. Employees load boxes into a warehouse. One of them comments that the boss is being very generous by paying each of them 2,000 for their work. They watch Zhang Xiaoyong buying a lot of supplies and comment that he is turning the place into a bunker. They don't understand Zhang Xiaoyong's attitude because rich people cherish their lives. Our prota instructs employees to store fresh produce, fruits, vegetables, and other perishable items separately. The employees confirm that they understand and that there is no problem. Zhang Xiaoyong looks at the warehouse full of supplies and declares, "Ready?" The system notifies Zhang Xiaoyong that the task 10 years of supplies has been completed and that he has received 20 points, making his total 20 points. Zhang Xiaoyong, observing the system store, notices that new boxes have been added. The system store shows the following available items: Physical Enhancement Potion, +1 for 20 points. Apocalypse Farmer Supply Box, level 1 for 2 points. Skill Awakening, Supply Box, level 1 for 10 points, and the option to upgrade the store for 2 points. Our prota says luck is on your side for getting skills before the apocalypse. The system notifies that the exchange is successful. 10 points have been deducted, and now Zhang Xiaoyong has 10 points. The Mind's Eye level 1 skill appears on the system screen. Its characteristic is, it can detect if someone harbors hostility. So he says this is one of the most useful skills in the early days of the apocalypse. The system releases a new task, Ready for Battle. The requirement is to arm yourself, and the reward is 10 points and a random reward. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles and says that the new task is exactly what he had in mind. Sometime later, our prota walks down a busy street at night. He arrives at a busy night market, where you could hear several people negotiating and asking if the object in their hand is real or fake. A man next to him says that only an amateur would ask that question. For that price, he is questioning whether it is real or fake. Another man says to be quiet as the object was taken from Ma Wangdui the day before. One person asks if that is the first emperor's childhood war helmet. Zhang Xiaoyong looks back, and there is an old acquaintance of ours, shouting that a high-quality jade bracelet for 2,000 is clearly fake, and asking the seller to sell it to him for 300, as he will still make a good profit. He asks whether or not the seller accepts the offer and says that if not, he will leave. The seller gives in and says everything is fine and not to scream, as the object is his. Then, amidst the shouting, Zhang Xiaoyong looks around and spots a set of knives for sale. Our prota holds one of the knives and asks if the seller doesn't have something sharper. The salesman shows a knife sharpener and suggests that Zhang Xiaoyong buy something and sharpen it himself. If he doesn't like the idea, he could buy a stick. Zhang Xiaoyong says that none of those objects are strong enough and he needs something stronger. The salesman asks Zhang Xiaoyong if he is there to cause trouble, but out of nowhere he receives a notification on his cell phone. Ding dong, 200,000 yuan credited to account. He gets confused. Zhang Xiaoyong tells him not to be agitated as he is serious about buying the products. It shows the cell phone screen showing the payment. The vendor calls his assistant, Xiao Xiang, to take care of the stall. The salesman tells Zhang Xiaoyong that it is not convenient to talk there and invites him to go somewhere else. The seller offers Zhang Xiaoyong homemade guns, saying they are good for shooting chickens and that the ammunition is cheap, made only from gunpowder and steel balls. But Zhang Xiaoyong refuses the offer. Then the salesman shows Zhang Xiaoyong a replica revolver, almost as good as service weapons, which fires 9mm bullets and costs 5,000 yuan. He says the bullets cost 5 yuan each. Zhang Xiaoyong says that the offer is minimally acceptable, but that he has already paid 200,000 yuan in advance, and that selling that junk to him is not appropriate. The salesman asks Zhang Xiaoyong what's the problem with paying in advance. Then he reveals that he wants to buy 2 million in weapons. The salesman, surprised, asks who Zhang Xiaoyong is and why he is placing such a large order for him. The salesperson explains that he did not usually deal with these trivial matters, as they were handled by his subordinates, but that recently there have been some changes. Our prota interrupts him and just asks him to say whether or not he can fulfill the request. Then he asks Zhang Xiaoyong for a moment and leaves the place. The salesman presses a button on the wall. Then he closes the window, and suddenly his expression changes. He looks at our prota and says, "You found the right person." The salesman tells Zhang Xiaoyong that he can take care of it, asking him to make a list and he will give an address. He asks Zhang Xiaoyong to come to the address at midnight 2 days later to complete the transaction. The seller warns him to bring cash. He asks Zhang Xiaoyong to be careful, but upon leaving the store, our prota is surprised. The guy who killed him in his previous life recognizes Zhang Zhang Xiaoyong. He, surprised, says that he didn't expect to see him on a black market, but that was to be expected since he was spending so much money. So he assumes that our prota's family has some inheritances. Zhang Xiaoyong decides to test his new skill. Then he activates the mind's eye skill and observes the seller. A blue aura forms around the salesman's head. Zhang Xiaoyong says that the skill is very useful, as expected. So he uses his mind's eye ability again, but this time watching the guy who killed him in his past life, and well, a purple aura forms around the sucker's head. Zhang Xiaoyong says that it is really about pretending. He realizes that he tricked Jing into going to bed with her using fakes and second-hand products. He concludes that it makes sense, as it is just one of his second-hand products, and is only worth that much. The crazy man gets angry and curses Zhang Xiaoyong, asking what he means. The salesman asks our prota if he knows him. Then our prota says he knows him as an enemy. So the salesman surrounds himself with his henchmen and asks our prota to go do his thing, and he will teach the idiot who was talking to him a lesson. So Zhang Xiaoyong asks him not to kill him, as he has other plans for his life. Seeing the situation he has found himself in, the fat man asks the salesman what he is doing and threatens him. Then the salesman with a piece of iron in his hand observes the man and says, "Big brother, let's talk." Then he gets stepped on in the face and falls to the ground. He curses Zhang Xiaoyong and says he will regret it. 2 days later, a truck arrives in front of a building. Zhang Xiaoyong enters the warehouse and watches the truck unloading the goods. The system notifies Zhang Xiaoyong that the battle-ready task has been completed. He receives 10 points for a total of 20 points. The system displays the mission's bonus reward, a physical enhancement potion, +2. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles in surprise and comments that he received an extra physical enhancement potion as a bonus. Then he holds the syringe with the potion and says that it is a +2 potion, equivalent to twice the one in the system store. Zhang Xiaoyong injects the potion into his arm. He feels severe pain and screams. Zhang Xiaoyong says that an adult man's average physical score is 5, and that adding 2 points would increase his strength by 40%. It observes the system store, and the available items are Physical Enhancement Potion, +1, for 20 points, and the Survival Kit for 2 points. Zhang Xiaoyong says that since it is like this, he must maximize this advantage. Then he holds another syringe. He says that, with 8 points in physique, he has 60% more strength than a normal person and decides it's time to find a target to test. Your body is enveloped in an aura of energy. Zhang Xiaoyong looks to the side and finds some beams lying on the wall. He picks one up and holds it tightly. And well, the guy just bent the beam and now he's going to play ball with it. Zhang Xiaoyong throws the metal bar, which bends and embeds itself in the wall. He laughs and says that with his current strength, even unarmed, he is not an easy target. Even against zombies at the beginning of the apocalypse, he will not be afraid. Zhang Xiaoyong comes close to the shipment and says that the weapons shouldn't take up much space and that it's best to store them in the space ring for safety. So he uses the space ring to store the weapons. He says that the next day will be the first day of the apocalypse and wonders what else needs to be done. Then he thinks about the old man, who sighs and confesses to Zhang Xiaoyong that his granddaughter needs to transfer schools and that they urgently need that house to live in, that he had been looking for houses in that area for days, and that only his is for sale. Then he puts his hand on his head and thinks that even after experiencing life and death and betrayal, the old man is still so honest and kind. He wonders how much longer this unfortunate person can survive, so he decides that he will send some supplies to the old man and says that he can consider the supplies as payment for providing him with the funds for his apocalypse plan. Zhang Xiaoyong arrives at a place in his car and thanks God for creating GPS, because without him he would never have found that place. Then he climbs the stairs of a building. He says the old man doesn't seem to be in a good financial situation, renting such a cheap place and on the top floor at that. When he knocks on the old man's door, he stops for a moment and thinks that he better take out the supplies he brought now. Otherwise, it will be difficult to explain later. Then he uses his special ring, releasing all the supplies he had set aside. The old man says he's already leaving. Then the old man opens the door and, already apologizing, says that he needs to talk to Zhang Xiaoyong about the rent and promises to pay it the following week. The old man is scared to see what our prota has prepared for him. Zhang Xiaoyong asks the old man to help him take things inside quickly before the neighbors see. He says he will explain everything later. The old man comments that young people have a lot of energy, carrying so many things at once without even catching their breath. Zhang Xiaoyong looks at the front door of the apartment and says that the room is decent and the front door is solid enough. He asks the old man to listen carefully to what he is going to say. Zhang Xiaoyong tells him that those supplies, if used wisely, should last about 6 months. boss. He warns that starting tomorrow, the old man stops him and asks what's wrong with him since he can just store those supplies at his house since they're moving there in a month anyway. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at a photo of the old man with his daughter, but he recognizes that girl. Shan Shan, our prota, asks the old man if his granddaughter's name is Meng Shan Shan. He is surprised and asks Jiang Xiaoyong how he knows since he doesn't remember mentioning her name. He asks where his granddaughter is now. He replies that she is attending school. He explains that once the house transfer is complete, they will be able to transfer her school as well. The paperwork is almost done. Jiang Xiaoyong, in a flashback, remembers when Shan Shan said that her grandfather risked everything to save her, bravely breaking into the high school, which was already overrun by zombies. He managed to save her, but lost his life in the process. So our prota touching that photo says he will make up for her regret. He tells the old man that he will not move into the house anymore. The old man, surprised, asks if he is going to back out of the deal. Jiang Xiaoyong asks the old man to let him finish speaking because from tomorrow onwards, the world will turn into hell. He says neither his house nor his granddaughter's school enrollment will matter anymore. He asks the old man to go with him to Shan Shan's school to pick her up, as he will provide a new place for them both. The old man, confused, asks what Jiang Xiaoyong is talking about and says he doesn't understand a word. Our prota says he's very old and won't understand much. He wonders how to explain everything to him. So he asks the old man if he knows how bad times of famine are. Then the old man retorts, saying that he understands how bad times of hunger can be, but how would there be hunger in times of peace? Then Jiang Xiaoyong reaches out and uses his magic ring to suck up all the supplies that were there. The old man is startled. He looks around and sees that all the boxes of supplies that Jiang Xiaoyong had left in his apartment have disappeared. He asks Jiang Xiaoyong what kind of magic it is. Then our prota reveals to the old man that he has superpowers and that if he wants to survive with his granddaughter, he should do everything he says from now on. Then he asks which school Shan Shan went to. Now the old man, still without understanding anything, follows our prota in his car. Jiang Xiaoyong finally arrives at the scene and stops the car with a bang. He asks the old man which class and dorm Shan Shan is in. The old man, still scared, replies that he knows. Jiang Xiaoyong says great, and they should hurry. And well, apparently a fight is going on there. A girl slaps Shan Shan in the face, cursing her and asking what Zhang Xiaocheng sees in her. The girl spits and says that she already said that she doesn't want to be with Zhang Xiaocheng and that he is the one who insists. Then another girl asks if she apologized and kicks her. The slut grabs Shan Shan by the hair and curses her, asking what Zhang Xiaocheng sees in her. She says she doesn't understand and questions what she has that Zhang Xiaocheng likes. Shan Shan, grit of gold. But don't worry, our hero doesn't wear a cape. He carries an old one with him. Our heroes arrive asking what those girls are doing. The slut asks if that isn't Shan Shan's useless grandfather. Shan Shan, lying on the floor, asks what he is doing there. The old man asks the girl what she is doing and tells her to release Shan Shan. One of the boys accompanying the girl asks Grandpa to move away, saying that this is between young people and asking what an old man like him is doing there, intruding. Then the old man shouts and advances towards the boys. He curses them and asks if their parents didn't teach them good manners. Then one of the boys tells the old man to leave the other boy while he takes a swing at him with a baseball bat. But before it hits the old man, our hero grabs the base of the bat with his hand. Jiang Xiaoyong watches them and asks if the young people aren't learning to be bandits too early. One of the boys asks where that old man came from. The blonde boy tells Shan Shan that he didn't know she had an older brother. Then, Jiang Xiaoyong kicks the boy away. One of the boys asks if Jiang Xiaoyong is a trained guy, so they decide to attack together. Jiang Xiaoyong, observer. Then the two boys surround our prota. One of them prepares to attack Jiang Xiaoyong with a bat, but he dodges the attack and says that after improving his physical abilities, even his reflexes have become faster. Jiang Xiaoyong grabs the boy by his shirt and blows him to the ground. The boy screams in pain and soon becomes unconscious. Then our prota looks back as another blow is thrown at him. Jiang Xiaoyong dodges the boy's attack with the knife and holds his arm tightly. Our prota prepares a kick, and it's a goal for Real Madrid. He hits the boy, who falls to the ground. And well, 1-0 for the men's team. The fight ends there. Jiang Xiaoyong Xiaoyong approaches the girl who is hitting on Shan Shan, so she asks him what he intends to do.
Yeah, boy.
And well, our protagonist treats all genders equally, so he punches the bitch in the face. She's surprised by his reaction. Then he grabs her hair and yells, "You like to pull hair, don't you?" She screams for him to let her go. Then he grabs a knife and points it at her. The girl asks him what he intends to do, and in the blink of an eye, a cut is delivered. Our protagonist watches the bitch with a serious look, while Shan Shan covers her face with her hands so she doesn't have to see the scene. The girl falls to her knees. She screams when she sees that her hair has been cut. The girl curses our protagonist, asking how he dared to cut her hair. "Look, my dear, you're lucky it was just the hair. It could very well have been your neck." Jiang Xiaoyong says the short hair will do her good. The girl wonders what he means by that. Then our protagonist says that she will understand in a few days, and that short hair can save her life. Jiang Xiaoyong calls Shan Shan to leave. Shan Shan asks Jiang Xiaoyong where they are going. Shan Shan, sitting in the passenger seat, wonders if she will no longer go to school. Jiang Xiaoyong, driving the car, says that soon there will be a great famine and that there is no point in going to school. He states that survival is the priority. Shan Shan is shocked by Jiang Xiaoyong's speech. She asks what he means by a great famine. Then, finding it a joke from our protagonist, she scolds the old man, asking how many times she needs to tell him not to believe in these phone scams. The old man, simply by being old, doesn't understand what that means and asks Shan Shan what this phone scam thing means. But he says he's telling the truth, so she yells at the old man, saying that he always says he's telling the truth when he falls for scams. And our protagonist, watching the two arguing, smiles, stating that this time he will save their lives. Jiang Xiaoyong says that her grandfather is not being deceived this time, as the information about the famine came from her. Shan Shan, confused, asks who he is. Then he introduces himself as Jiang Xiaoyong and says she can call him Brother Xiaoyong from now on. Shan Shan thanks him for defending her against Sun Wei and the other bullies. But Jiang Xiaoyong tells Shan Shan not to worry about those people, as they probably don't have many days left to live. Shan Shan asks what Jiang Xiaoyong means by great famine. Jiang Xiaoyong tells Shan Shan that he made up the famine story to make it easier for her grandfather to understand. Shan Shan replies that she imagined, as there was no way a famine could happen in peacetime. Then he states that the apocalypse must be about to begin. She is surprised and asks him, "Apocalypse?" Jiang Xiaoyong asks Shan Shan and Grandpa to turn on their cell phones and check out the short videos and news. He says that if he's right, they'll see some signs. Shan Shan is watching a video on her cell phone that shows a man biting a police officer's neck on the subway. She exclaims, shocked, that she has never seen anyone angry biting other people in real life before. Shan Shan sniffs the air and asks if it's just her or if the smoke seems to smell weird. A person is bitten on the neck by a man. She asks what he's doing and curses. The frightened person says she doesn't know why, but she couldn't resist. She asks to be taken to the hospital. Jiang Xiaoyong watches and says that, as expected, the signs of the apocalypse are already appearing. Shan Shan asks if there really will be an apocalypse. Our protagonist says that tomorrow will be the first day of the apocalypse. A toxic fog will cover several provinces, including B province. Jiang Xiaoyong continues, saying that the unknown smoke will affect living beings. Gradually, a significant portion of the population will turn into zombies. Another part of the population will not be spared either. Zombies attack people in a dark alley. As soon as people die, they become one of them. Our protagonist tells her that since she is a young person, she should know what zombies are. She says she knows, but that would be impossible. Then Jiang Xiaoyong comes across a line of cars on the road. Our protagonist is worried. Grandpa, worried, asks Jiang Xiaoyong what will happen if they get stuck there, and the zombies he mentioned reach them. Jiang Xiaoyong reassures Grandpa, telling him not to worry as it's not that urgent yet. He thinks that while the zombies won't be completely out of control for a few days, what would happen if there was a small outbreak right there? A car speeds up, speeding down the emergency lane. Then the car slams into our protagonist's car. He gets angry and mutters that of course even the emergency lane is blocked. Jiang Xiaoyong speeds up the car and drives down the emergency lane, passing the other cars. A driver stops beside our protagonist and curses him. Grandpa watches in fear and tells Jiang Xiaoyong that the other driver appeared to be rich and powerful and that perhaps they should avoid trouble. Jiang Xiaoyong reassures Grandpa, saying that if the driver dares to get out of the car to cause trouble, he wouldn't mind sending him away sooner. Then our protagonist breathes a sigh of relief and comments that the jam is finally over. Shan Shan alerts Jiang Xiaoyong, saying it's that car from earlier trying to pass them. Jiang Xiaoyong thinks, irritated, that they really won't give up. The car behind Zhang Xiaoyong brakes sharply. Grandpa yells at Zhang Xiaoyong, saying the driver is glued to the back of the car and braking suddenly, a classic case of road rage. He asks Zhang Xiaoyong not to stoop to the level of the other driver. Zhang Xiaoyong thinks that in the past, he might have let it go, but with the apocalypse coming the next day, there's no need to tolerate that kind of scum. Then Zhang Xiaoyong speeds up the car and hits the side of the other car, causing it to spin. The driver of the other car gets out and curses Zhang Xiaoyong. He calls the traffic police and asks for the security camera footage as he needs the license plate number. Then night falls, and after this great adventure, our heroes finally arrive at our protagonist's house. Shanshan and grandfather get out of the car. Grandpa is impressed with the place. Zhang Xiaoyong watches from outside the garage. Then he decides to ask for help and tells Shanshan and grandpa that, starting the next day, every day will be difficult, and asks them to get some rest. The next morning, Zhang Xiaoyong watches the cityscape from the window of his fortress, sipping a cup of coffee. Shanshan stretches in a corridor, glad she slept well and didn't have to go to school. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles at Shanshan and invites her to take a look around the fortress. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and grandfather are walking down a corridor. Our protagonist points to the walls and says they are made of reinforced concrete. They reach a large steel gate. Zhang Xiaoyong explains that the gate is remotely controlled, made of solid steel, 3 centimeters thick, and that neither people nor zombies will be able to break through it without heavy weaponry. Zhang Xiaoyong looks seriously at Shanshan and Grandpa and warns that, without his permission, no one but the 3 of them is allowed inside the fortress. Shanshan asks, startled, what will happen if there are other survivors who manage to escape to the fortress? Will they let them die? Zhang Xiaoyong stares at Shanshan and orders her to come with him. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and Grandpa observe the fortress from the top of the building. He says that in the apocalypse, human nature is unpredictable. He continues, saying that the evil in people's hearts will be amplified and that having a soft heart will only lead them to death. Zhang Xiaoyong explains that if he's not around and other survivors come for help, that safe zone can provide temporary shelter. Shanshan and Grandpa observe a courtyard surrounded by containers and barbed wire. Zhang Xiaoyong warns Shanshan and Grandpa, ordering them not to let anyone into the fortress until he returns, under any circumstances. Hence they reply that they understood. Our hero walks away saying he'll show them the food storage next, and he'll tell them what areas can be rationed. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and Grandpa enter a large warehouse full of shelves and boxes. Then he stops and whispers, finally. Zhang Xiaoyong activates his mind's eye ability and looks at Shanshan and Grandpa. A green smiley emoji appears above their heads. He asks if that's a sign of trust and comments that it's the first time this has happened. Zhang Xiaoyong deactivates his skill and points to the warehouse with his magic ring. He states that weapons are the most important thing in the apocalypse. Shanshan and Grandpa observe an arsenal of pistols, shotguns, crossbows, and ammunition. Zhang Xiaoyong emphasizes the importance of keeping weapons under control and ensuring that they never fall into the wrong hands. Grandpa agrees with Zhang Xiaoyong, stating that it is crucial to keep weapons safe. Then, a system notification appears in front of Zhang Xiaoyong. The Old Comrades series quest has been activated with the mission to find and rescue his former comrade Zhang Qi for a reward of 20 points. Our protagonist observes the system notification and murmurs. Zhang Xiaoyong says that the mission to find his old comrades is great, as he had been wondering for a long time how he would do it. As he prepares to leave the fortress, Zhang Xiaoyong repeats the instructions to Shanshan and Grandpa, ordering them to remember everything he said and not violate any of his orders. Shanshan asks him where he is going. Then he gets into his sports car and quickly leaves the fortress. As he drives, he says he needs to recruit people for his team. Now let's go to the other side of town, in a building of the KTV. Inside the KTV, a white-haired man sings karaoke. The boys come out of the karaoke room. The white-haired man asks where they are going. The bespectacled one, his arm over his friend's shoulder, replies that he is going to the bathroom. The friend says he'll save him some drink. Then they want to go into the bathroom, ask if whoever was in there was waiting for someone or if they have kidney problems. The white-haired man coming out of the bathroom with his friend bumps into a blonde woman who is accompanied by a man in a black suit. The woman complains, indignant. Then he apologizes for the bump. The man in the suit curses the white-haired man, calling him a punk and asking if he's not looking where he's going. Then he kicks the white-haired man, who falls to the ground. The boy groans in pain, clutching his stomach, while his friend asks if Jiang-Chi is okay. The bespectacled friend stands in front of Jiang-Chi and questions the man in the suit, asking what he is doing and why he is attacking him. The guy, furious, complains that this is the first time anyone has dared to talk back to him. Then he grabs the bespectacled friend by the collar and lifts him off the ground. Jiang-Chi stands up and tries to break up the fight, asking the man in the suit not to attack his friend, taking the blame for the bump. The guy who was in the bathroom finally comes out and sees what was happening, complaining about his bad luck, having just recovered from a stomachache and already having the flu. Then he approaches the group and asks them to give him a break. Then, the man in the suit grabs the guy by the shirt, curses him for disrespecting him, and asks if he knows who he's talking to. He claims that not even his boss would dare touch his clothes. Then the poor guy asks Jiang-Chi and his friend to get out of there soon, saying they can't afford to get into trouble. The blonde woman orders to call the KTV manager, threatening to close it. Jiang-Chi and his friend walk away, while the friendly neighborhood man calls for calm. Jiang-Chi and friend hurriedly leave the KTV. A man sitting on a sofa watches Jiang-Chi and his friend run away, asking if a dog was chasing them and why they are in such a hurry. The bespectacled friend recounts that they ran into a drunken bully on the way out of the bathroom who wanted to hit them. He says luckily the bellboy was quick and diffused the situation, otherwise they would have gotten beat up. The man, irritated, asks why they didn't fight back, wondering if their mechanical engineering class ever backed down. Then he gets up furiously and asks them to wait and says he will gather all the guys from their department to take down the bully. Jiang-Chi talks to his friend, asking him to calm down, as there is less than a year left until graduation and they shouldn't be looking for trouble. He asks the friend to keep the music playing and keep dancing. A group of men, led by the man in the suit, walk while holding the shirt of our poor waiter. Jiang-Chi, the bespectacled friend, and the other guy watch as the group approaches. Then he points to Jiang-Chi and his friends, confirming that they are the ones responsible for the confusion. One of the men in the group, holding a baseball bat, orders them to grab Jiang-Chi and his friends. The men surround them, forcing them to their knees. The engineering colleague, furious, asks the guy if he could let him make a phone call. The man in the suit gets annoyed with Jiang-Chi for answering and hits him with a bottle of kachaka. Jiang-Chi cries out for Chun Chong. Then, finally, Jiang Xiaoyong arrives in front of KTV with his car. Watching from outside the KTV, Jiang Xiaoyong smiles and comments on the naivety of college students. Jiang Xiaoyong enters the KTV while the staff ask him to enter. He climbs the stairs towards the karaoke room while commenting on the courage of the people who still feel like singing in the face of the end of the world. Chen Chong is lying on the floor, unconscious, while Jiang-Chi watches him with concern. The man in the suit approaches the blonde woman and asks if she is feeling better. The blonde woman replies that she has nothing to feel better about, as it wasn't Chen Chong who bumped into her. Then he points to the poor white-haired man and accuses him of bumping into her. Then out of nowhere, the guy's friend agrees and picks up a piece of glass that was near him. He prepares to throw at the guy in the suit, however. His henchmen grab him by the arm. The man in the suit is surprised by the boy's audacity. Then he throws another glass at the poor guy, who instantly passes out again. All the men present in the room are startled by the madman's action. Jiang-Chi and the bespectacled guy, outraged, advance towards the guy in the suit. One of the boys who was in that room trembles in fear, while in the background you can hear all the discussion. The man orders the other men to attack him, asking them to grab one and beat him to death. Then the waiter wakes up spitting blood. Jiang-Chi attacks the suit guy's henchmen, who dodge and counterattack. However, all that bullshit in the bathroom wasn't in vain. Our poor waiter was slowly transforming into a zombie. Then, out of nowhere, the crowd starts running. One of the men cries out in pain as he is bitten by the waiter. He asks if the waiter is some kind of dog to keep biting like that. The guy who was shitting himself screams for help. He pulls the waiter by the neck and is amazed at his strength. Then the zombie turns and bites the arm of the poor boy who was trying to help. He says the guy was insane. His strength was absurd. But then our hero arrives, grabbing the zombie by the neck. Jiang Xiaoyong lifts the zombie with just one hand. Then he plunges it into the glass in front of him. Jiang Xiaoyong orders everyone to stop. The guy who got bitten comments on Jiang Xiaoyong's strength, mentioning that like the strength of a bull, he managed to immobilize him with just one hand. One of the men, not understanding what just happened, asks who Jiang Xiaoyong is. However, our protagonist ignores them and turns to Jiang Qi and asks if he has been bitten. Jiang Qi denies being bitten and asks Jiang Xiaoyong why he asked. He looks coldly at the others and orders Jiang Qi to follow him. The man in the suit puts his hand on Jiang Qi's shoulder and yells, saying they're not done yet. One of the henchmen coughs and complains to his boss that he is dizzy. The boss asks what's going on and if his flu is getting worse. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at him coldly. The man puts his hand to his neck and states that in the afternoon he just had a runny nose. Jiang Xiaoyong asks if he was bitten there. The man, moaning, confirms that he was bitten on the shoulder. Jiang Xiaoyong concludes, based on the bitten man's words, that he was probably already infected and that, having been bitten close to the head, he will likely mutate soon. Then he walks out of the KTV, pulling the zombie by the neck. The suit scoundrel asks what he is doing. Jiang Xiaoyong throws the zombie out and locks the door behind him. Our protagonist comments that it's a good thing zombies haven't learned to open doors yet. The men inside the KTV watch Jiang Xiaoyong in silence, shocked. Then Jiang Xiaoyong, furious, asks Jiang Qi which of the men need to be eliminated. Jiang Qi asks, nervously, if they know each other. The man in the suit walks towards our protagonist and accuses him of getting too cocky. Then Jiang Xiaoyong squeezes his face with his hand, and it explodes on the ground, causing a crack. One of the men yells at Jiang Xiaoyong, cursing him and saying that he is asking for it. But he doesn't know who he's messing with. Jiang Xiaoyong punches the man in the face, knocking him out instantly. The other henchman approaches him and asks what that slow reaction was. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaoyong challenges the other men to face him if they are not convinced of his strength. Our protagonist asks Jiang Qi to take his friend and wait for him outside the room. Jiang Qi agrees. The white-haired man and the bespectacled friend help the man to his feet and lead him out of the KTV. The man in the suit gets up, staggering, and says they're leaving too. Jiang Xiaoyong stops the man in the suit from leaving, who asks him what he thinks he is doing. Our hero accuses the man of not even remembering his own name after drinking and blames him for nearly killing his brother there. The guy questions what nonsense he's talking about and orders him to get out of his way. Jiang Xiaoyong pushes the man in the suit. He falls to the ground, cursing Jiang Xiaoyong and threatening him with death. One of the henchmen curses Jiang Xiaoyong and threatens to tear him apart alive. However, something happens. He begins to transform into a zombie, baring his teeth and stiffening his entire body. He roars ferociously, his bright red eyes glowing. With his sharp teeth protruding from his mouth, he advances to attack our protagonist. Frightened, the other men wonder what is going on. But before he got close, Jiang Xiaoyong closes the door behind him and keeps the zombie in there along with the suit guy's cronies. Well, technically he didn't kill anyone, right? Conscience is clear. Jiang Xiaoyong orders the waiter to lock the door completely and that no one open it. He then instructs the waiter to call the police and the hospital, informing them that there is an angry patient in that room. The waiter repeats the word anger, his face terrified. Jiang Xiaoyong faces him and orders him to follow his instructions. The waiter agrees nervously and runs to lock the door to the room. Inside the room, the man, now transformed, growls and tries to open the door. Jiang Xiaoyong calls everyone to get out of the KTV. One of the guards comments that the noise seems too loud. The other asks what is happening and why everything is so chaotic. He replies that a customer said there is an angry patient inside the bathroom. The man is frightened, questioning if there really is anger for humans. One of the security guards suggests checking the security camera. Then, frightened, they watch the security camera feed. The security camera shows everyone who was in the room, now transformed, biting the blonde woman's neck. One of the men panics and yells for the police to be called immediately. Jiang Xiaoyong, at the exit of KTV, warns that the place is no longer safe. Then they run out of the KTV and get into their car. Inside the car, Jiang Qi thanks Jiang Xiaoyong for saving them and asks who he is. Then he introduces himself as Jiang Xiaoyong and reveals that he was hired to protect them, dispensing with the need for them to know who the contractor is. The other guy asks Jiang Xiaoyong if the anger he mentioned is real, as the internet has debunked its existence. Then our protagonist questions him, asking if he thinks what happened in the room was just an illusion. The bespectacled friend, frightened by the possibility of the anger being real, asks if there is any medicine for this disease. Jiang Xiaoyong warns the passengers in the car that the disaster is not going going away, only getting worse, as the world is already in its last days. Everyone is startled to see, in the rearview mirror, what is happening behind the car. A person on the street screams for help as a zombie tries to grab him. Zhang Xiaoyong warns them that soon the outbreak will spiral out of control on a large scale, and that in order to survive, they need to follow his orders. Then they all agree to follow Zhang Xiaoyong's orders, calling him Brother Yong. A system notification appears in front of Zhang Xiaoyong, informing him that the Ex-Partner Mission Volume 1 has been completed. He received 20 system points and now has a total of 20 points. Zhang Xiaoyong is happy to see that the mission is complete and decides to check out the new rewards in the system store. Then, the system store appears on the screen, 3 supply boxes available. Post-Apocalyptic Cultivator for 2 points, Sugar, Oil, and Protein for 2 points, and Armed Deterrent for 2 points, and the Upgrade option available for 2 points. Zhang Xiaoyong observes the Post-Apocalyptic Cultivator box in the store and comments that it's still there, so he'll have to buy it or spend points to upgrade it manually. So he decides that he will buy all the available supply boxes, as they seem useful, and that he will be back at the fortress soon. Zhang Xiaoyong observes his new companions inside the car and thinks that there is still a problem with trust between them. The white-haired man yells, saying they were treating the guy who helped them at KTV like a brother, and now he's infected and tried to attack them. Zhang Xiaoyong remembers that in the previous life, all of Zhang Qi's dorm was killed by zombies because one of his brothers betrayed them. Only Zhang Qi managed to survive. In an apartment, the bitch who betrayed our protagonist talks on her cell phone asking how things are going. The woman complains, asking when the supplies he mentioned will be delivered, and says she is afraid to go to the supermarket because the situation outside is chaotic. Then, this person replies that they will send the supplies soon as they finish what they are doing. Someone knocks on the apartment door. The woman freaks out and warns the guy that someone is at the door and she's going to hang up. She looks through the peephole, but it was just her sister. Upon opening the door, she reveals that Mr. Liu, who lives on the first floor, was taken away in the morning. The slut asks her how Mr. Liu was taken. She replies that the police and an ambulance took him together. Then she comments that this is why everything was so chaotic that morning. The girl asks her if Li Shuxiong has already delivered the supplies he promised. She replies that he hasn't. Irritated, the woman vents that she had already warned her friend that no man is good. Then she advises her to call the driver and tell him that Zhang Xiaoyong has a large stockpile of supplies and that he can make a fortune during the pandemic. But will he help this time? I do not think so. The woman is incredulous and asks her friend how she knows this. She replies that the last time she was kicked out of Zhang Xiaoyong's house, she ordered one of her lackeys to watch him and discovered that every few days a truck delivers supplies to his abandoned factory. So the slut concludes that Zhang Xiaoyong probably knew about the pandemic beforehand. The girl insists that the woman call the driver right now and close the deal as soon as possible. Then she says that when the driver starts making money, she will make him give them a larger share of the profits. Oh my God, this woman is no good either. The boy's car speeds down the road. They finally arrive at our protagonist's fortress. Zhang Qi, his friend with glasses, and the other boy get out of the car, looking intimidated. Zhang Xiaoyong stops in front of his house's entrance and scans the street, making sure there's no imminent danger. Impressed, the white-haired friend remarks, "Wow, this place is incredible. It looks like a fortress." Zhang Xiaoyong smiles and says, "Yeah, that's everyone's first reaction." Shan and his grandfather approach. The grandfather exclaims, "Xiaoyong, you're finally back." Shan asks, worried, "Are you all right?" Smiling, Zhang Xiaoyong reassures Shengbo and Shan and tells them he wants to introduce the new members. He presents the group of young men, Zhang Qi and his classmates, who will be his companions from that moment on. Zhang Xiaoyong introduces Shengbo and Shan to the group. Shan smiles and welcomes them, saying that since Zhang Xiaoyong chose them as companions, they are more than welcome. Our hero asks Shengbo to show some of the boys around, explaining the rules and regulations. The grandfather says he will take care of it. The friend with glasses observes the surroundings and compares the place to northern Myanmar. seeming surprised and slightly scared by the atmosphere. One of the friends hesitantly asks if they could get some weapons too, stating they could contribute to defending the place. Jiang Xiaoyong gives him a serious and intimidating look. One of Zhang Qi's colleagues whispers to the friend, asking him not to be so eager to get weapons as they've just arrived and need to gain Jiang Xiaoyong's and the others' trust first. Our hero calms him down, saying not to worry, as he will receive weapons in a few days. He then looks at the friend with glasses, who is supporting Zhang Qi's friend on his shoulders, and says that his injuries seem severe and they should take him to the infirmary first. Now, wearing more comfortable clothes, the friend with glasses relaxes and comments that he is feeling much better. The weapons enthusiast, looking at the friend with glasses, asks why Zhang Xiaoyong stopped him back at the KTV. He says that if Zhang Xiaoyong hadn't stopped him, they might already have weapons. The weapons enthusiast ponders and says that, best case scenario, they are being protected. He concludes his thought by stating that worst case scenario, they are practically under house arrest. Buddy, what the hell are you talking about? I hope he gets bitten by a zombie out there so he'll stop being ungrateful. The chubby friend asks the weapons enthusiast not to say that. After all, Zhang Xiaoyong saved them. He then questions why Zhang Xiaoyong saved them in the first place. Zhang Qi recalls that Zhang Xiaoyong had said that someone hired him to protect them. The weapons enthusiast questions who that person would be, since he refused to say. The friend suspects Zhang Xiaoyong might be lying. He looks at the closed infirmary door and comments on how Zhang Xiaoyong is treating Chen Chong. He mentions that Zhang Xiaoyong said to monitor Chen Chong's injuries in the infirmary, but the room seems more secure than a prison. He speculates that perhaps our hero is planning to remove Chen Chong's organs in there. Then he states that they need to strike first. Can we admit him to a mental hospital now, or is it too early? The chubby friend questions his friend, worried, and asks what would happen if they were wrong about Zhang Xiaoyong, which would be a betrayal of their savior. The friend states that he would rather betray the world than let the world betray him. If what Jiang Xiaoyong said is true, they will take the fortress and assume control. He remembers that besides them and Jiang Xiaoyong, there's only an old man and a young woman there. While Jiang Xiaoyong is away, they will capture the two. He comments that the girl is also pretty and they could do something with her. Ha ha, go for it. It'll work out great. Zhang Qi and the chubby friend look at each other, confused, trying to understand what the friend with glasses was implying. Laughing, he then asks Zhang Qi to relax, stating he was just messing with him and that he shouldn't take it seriously. Relieved, the chubby friend complains about the scare. He jokes that the apocalypse hadn't even started, and the friend with glasses was already thinking about illegal acts. The friend with glasses agrees, arguing that if Zhang Xiaoyong really wanted to harvest their organs, he would have already locked them all up, especially since he has guns. The weapons enthusiast watches his friends walk away and thinks that they are not worth conspiring with. He concludes that in chaotic times, one must be ruthless. When he succeeds, his friends will be his lackeys forever. Shan Shan and his grandfather approach Jiang Xiaoyong in a room inside the fortress. The grandfather informs Jiang Xiaoyong that Zhang Qi and the others have been settled. He mentions that the seriously injured one is named Chen Chong and is resting in the infirmary. He states that, as our hero instructed, all doors and windows are locked. Jiang Xiaoyong thanks Sheng Bo and says that he and Shan Shan should get some rest, as they don't know what might happen the next day. He then points at the two of them and asks them to keep a close eye on the other two classmates who are with Zhang Qi, in addition to Chen Chong, as he has a feeling that there is a traitor among them. Shan Shan and his grandfather look at Jiang Xiaoyong seriously, worried by the information. Now, our hero is in the warehouse. He walks alone through the fortress. Jiang Xiaoyong, looking at a system panel, comments that the items in the store are interesting. A system notification informs him that the Apocalypse Farmer supply box, level 1, has been successfully redeemed. 2 points have been deducted, and the current balance is 18 points. Another system notification informs him that the sugar, oil, and protein supply box, level 1, has been successfully redeemed. 5 points have been deducted, and the current balance is 13 points. A final system notification informs him that the Armed Deterrent Supply Box, Level 1, has been successfully redeemed. 5 points have been deducted, and the current balance is 8 points. A detailed list displays the items obtained from the supply boxes. Apocalypse Farmer. Supply box, Level 1, opened 50 corn seeds, sugar, oil, and protein. Supply box, Level 1, opened 200 kilograms of starch sausage, 100 kilograms of roast pork with pickled vegetables, pre-cooked, and 50 boxes of noodles with pickled cabbage. Armed Deterrent. Supply box, Level 1, opened 1,500 rounds of 9mm ammunition. Our hero looks at the supply boxes that have materialized in the warehouse and comments that the rewards are pretty decent. Jiang Xiaoyong says that although it's not as good as spending money freely now, in the future apocalypse with scarce resources, those rewards will be invaluable. Some time passes, the day breaks, and a sports car is speeding down a road while 2 other cars are chasing it. A man inside one of the cars speaks on the phone, confirming that he has arrived and asking if this is really the correct address. Then a group of men armed with baseball bats and machetes approach our hero's fortress. The man on the phone says they will eat together when he gets back. One of the men shouts to the others, "This is it! Tear it down!" The group of men, led by the man in the suit, attacks the fortress gate with their baseball bats and machetes. One of the men, out of breath, warns the man in the suit that the door is probably an inch thick, and with what they have, they won't be able to break it down. The man in the suit, furious, questions who uses such a thick door in a normal house. He then orders them to bring the big guns. 2 men remove a heavy object from the back of a van. The men carefully place a box of bottles on the ground. And well, what do we get to do with bottles? That's right, Molotov cocktails. The thugs start throwing the Molotov cocktails at the gate. The objects hit the fortress gate, causing an explosion and flames. A large cloud of smoke and dust forms after the explosion. Meanwhile, the group of men watch the result of the attack, expecting the gate to have suffered serious damage. And the attack doesn't stop. One of the thugs shouts, "Fire!" Shanshan, the white-haired friend, and the others run to put out the fire caused by the attack on the gate. They shout, "Quick! Put out the fire!" Shanshan watches the flames and comments, alarmed, that Jiang Xiaoyong was right. The disaster hasn't fully hit yet, but extreme situations are already happening. Holding a shotgun and with a serious expression, Jiang Xiaoyong approaches the fortress gate, followed by his grandfather, who is holding a rifle. Our hero says he's going to see who's looking for trouble. Jiang Xiaoyong observes from the watchtower. The grandfather comments that the man and the car look familiar. He then remembers the man in the suit, furious, yelling inside his car while our hero was driving a few days ago. Then he exclaims, surprised, that it's the guy they had the road rage incident with. Well, not just him, but our protagonist is also flabbergasted by the old man's vision, wondering how he can see so far. The man in the suit stares at the watchtower intently. One of the thugs, surprised, warns the boss that Jiang Xiaoyong is there. The man in the suit, furious, points at Jiang Xiaoyong in the tower and yells at the punk to get down from his doghouse or he'll burn it down. With a cold look, Jiang Xiaoyong says that the man has 5 minutes to get lost with his lackeys. Or else, one of the thugs, irritated, questions our hero, asking if he knows who his boss is. Another thug tries to calm the boss down, asking him not to waste time with Jiang Xiaoyong and ordering the other 2 boxes of Molotov cocktails to be brought. A system notification pops up in front of Jiang Xiaoyong, new task issued. Worried, the grandfather asks our protagonist what they should do and suggests firing a warning shot. A new detailed notification appears. Ordinary threat. Task objective, the base is under attack. Eliminate the threat as quickly as possible. Reward points, 10 inches. Without thinking twice, Jiang Xiaoyong aims his shotgun at the group of men and questions the idea of firing a warning shot. He says that these guys are clearly gangsters. The order hasn't even completely collapsed yet, and they're already committing arson. Jiang Xiaoyong states that those guys don't care if someone gets burned to death. He continues aiming the shotgun and concludes that leaving these thugs alive during the apocalypse will only harm more innocent people and put them in danger. Our hero then fires his weapon. Surprised, the man in the suit sees his arm being ripped off in the blink of an eye. He writhes in pain on the ground while his thugs watch the scene, unsure how to help him. Jiang Xiaoyong is surprised to realize he missed the shot, muttering that he got rusty after living a peaceful life for so long. One of the man in the suit's thugs watches the scene from the watchtower, shocked, and exclaims that they have guns, assault rifles. The man in the suit, terrified, yells at his thugs to retreat and cover him, cursing Jiang Xiaoyong and swearing revenge. One of the thugs, running towards the cars, begs his boss not to leave him behind. Hold on, our protagonist wasn't going to let them get away that easily. He aims the shotgun at the man in the suit and tells himself to finish what he started that day, as he hates waiting. Several shots hit the thugs, who scream in despair. Two thugs help the man in the suit into the van. Inside the van, the man in the suit, panicked, orders the driver to leave immediately. The grandfather warns Jiang Xiaoyong that they are trying to escape by car. Our hero, with an automatic rifle in hand, says that's why he got the weapon. Jiang Xiaoyong fires several shots at the fleeing car. He reloads the rifle skillfully. The grandfather watches, impressed, at the way he shoots and reloads the weapon so quickly and smoothly. He thinks that even during his military service, he wasn't that good, and wonders who this young man really is. A burst of gunfire is heard from afar, as the sounds of agony from those inside the van echo through the place. The van loses control and stops near the fortress gate. Wow, I didn't expect that. Apparently, our protagonist is not cliché at all. He's going full Rambo. I like it. I'm proud. After all that mess, Jiang Xiaoyong asks Sheng Bo to call Zhang Qi and the others to come out and clean up the mess. He then stops and thinks that they are still in the early stages of the disaster, wondering if he should let the men in the van turn into zombies and use them as practice for Zhang Qi and Shan Shan. Our hero then makes up his mind and tells Sheng Bo to forget the idea and not rush things. Sheng Bo questions if they are just going to leave the men lying on the road. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles mysteriously and replies that yes, but he has other plans for them. Well, some time passes, and a white car drives down a road. Our protagonist's nemesis asks his ex-girlfriend's sister if they are almost there. The crazy woman, accompanied by his ex-girlfriend, replies in a sweet voice that she believes the exit is at the next intersection. The crazy woman looks at her sister and says that whenever Li Shuxiong is around, she starts with this charade and asks if she really thinks she doesn't know what she's up to. The car then parks in front of the fortress. The old geezer tells Jiang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend to send him a message when she's inside. Jiang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend gets out of the car and tells her sister Xiaoya that they should go. Xiaoya, confused, asks if she's going too. Jiang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend confirms that Xiaoya will go with her. She questions how she will know which factory it is if Xiaoya doesn't go with her. Then, she gives a lousy excuse, explaining that she just needs to go straight ahead and she'll recognize the factory immediately. She complains that her shoes are killing her and that 2 more blocks and she'll be done. Jiang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend, impatient, tells Xiaoya to stop complaining and go with her, no matter if she's wearing high heels or not. Xiaoya is desperate when she realizes she left her purse with her phone in the car. She pulls her sister back, telling her to leave the purse in the car because she has her phone in her bag. The 2 women walk toward the factory while the homewrecker watches them from inside the car. Li Shuxiong speaks on the phone, asking them to prepare everything. 2 black cars drive side by side down the road. Li Shuxiong, speaking into a walkie-talkie to a group of men inside a van, warns them that as soon as his car starts moving, everyone should follow him. One of the men inside the van replies, "Understood." Xiaoya complains to Jiang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend Jing Jing, asking why she dragged her into this. Jing Jing replies, "I'm an old fox. You think I'd fall for your tricks?" Xiaoya complains that Jing Jing dressed her wrong, as she dressed up that way to make sure she could hook Lu loser Zhang Xiaoyong. She argues that Zhang Xiaoyong knows about her relationship with Li Shuxiong. Then Jing asks her what's going on up ahead. Zhang Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend, shocked, wonders what happened there and exclaims that it was a shootout. Terrified, Xiaoya grabs Jing and says, "Those people are all dead." She suggests they go back. Jing observes the bodies carefully and says that, judging by the blood, they've been dead for a while. She wonders if it was two groups fighting over Zhang Xiaoyong's supplies. Then, Jing concludes that Zhang Xiaoyong probably didn't survive. Jing says it's not that his death matters, but she wonders if the supplies are still there. "Bitch, slut, whore, I hope she dies. Look what she's saying, guys. She deserves it. Her time's up." Xiaoya, terrified by the sight of the bodies, tells Jing that maybe they should just go back and let Li Shuxiong's men handle it. Jing stealthily approaches the factory and suggests they take a look to see if the door is locked. Meanwhile, the guy in the suit slowly transforms into a zombie. Xiaoya and Jing observe the factory. Xiaoya complains that the gate is so tightly closed that you can't see anything inside. She bangs on the gate and wonders if, with the door so tightly closed, it means Zhang Xiaoyong is okay. Startled, Xiaoya and Jing turn to face a person who appears in the tower above. Suddenly, Shanshan appears at the top of the fortress with a gun in her hand, asking who they are and how they know about this place. Then they say, "Oh, little girl, we're Xiaoyong's friends." Jing introduces herself as Xiaoyong's girlfriend. From the watchtower, Shanshan warns Zhang Xiaoyong that there are two sisters outside the gate, and one of them claims to be his girlfriend. Furious, Jing exclaims that's why that bastard Xiaoyong had a sudden change of heart and got himself a new girlfriend. Xiaoya whispers to Jing not to show any displeasure right now, as they have important matters to attend to. She remembers that the woman upstairs has a weapon and questions if Li Shuxiong will be able to handle the situation. Jing confidently states that there's no need to worry, as Li Shuxiong brought some guns, and as long as they can get the door open, he can finish off Zhang Xiaoyong. Zhang Xiaoyong appears in the tower and finally meets his ex-girlfriend, Qi Jing. Surprised, he asks them what they are doing there. Zhang Xiaoyong's eye glows with a blue energy. Our hero uses his skill, Vision's Gaze. With a fake smile, Xiaoya asks Zhang Xiaoyong if they, as friends, can't come to see him. The emojis above their heads indicate betrayal. Xiaoya feigns concern, saying it's all so chaotic that they were worried about him, and questions if he doesn't care about them. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles ironically and questions if they are worried about him. He says that if he's not mistaken, Li Shuxiong, the animal, must be around. He asks how many people Li Shuxiong brought and what kind of weapons they have. Jing and Xiaoya look at Zhang Xiaoyong in astonishment, wondering how he knows all this. Shots are fired at Jing and Xiaoya's feet. They scream in panic. Zhang Xiaoyong lowers the still-smoking rifle. They ask, scared, if our protagonist is crazy. Indignant, Jing asks Zhang Xiaoyong if he really shot at her. Panicked, Xiaoya warns Jing to speak calmly and not provoke him, as he's armed. Undeterred, Jing asks Xiaoya what she's afraid of, questioning if he would have the guts to kill her. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles mockingly and says killing them would be too easy. Then they turn around. The two are startled to see the man in the suit, now a zombie, and wonder in shock what that is and if it's a rabid patient. The suit zombie approaches Xiaoya and Jing, and the other men rise with glowing red eyes, also zombified. Frightened, Xiaoya wonders if the flu can bring the dead back to life. Zhang Xiaoyong watches everything with a sinister smile. He says he'll let them die by their hands. The suit zombie growls ferociously and advances towards Xiaoya and Jing with the other zombies. Jing and Xiaoya scream in terror and run away from the zombies. Li Shuxiong watches Jing and Xiaoya run in terror. Jing yells for Li Shuxiong to save them. Desperate, Li Shuxiong orders the driver to turn around immediately as the area is contaminated. The group of zombies run towards Li Shuxiong's car, which speeds away as Jing screams, calling him a bastard. As she runs, Jing screams in terror, saying she doesn't want to die like this, but life charges a price, doesn't it? Xiaoya trips. Jing Jing is desperate. Xiaoya falls to the ground, crying out in pain. Meanwhile, the zombies approach the girls, who try to get up in a panic, and the zombies growl ferociously. Jing Jing watches in horror as Xiaoya begs them to wait. Xiaoya, being attacked by the zombies, cries out for Jing Jing, calling her a bitch for abandoning her. Jing Jing watches Xiaoya being devoured and states with a cruel smile that she won't have an easy death. The girl runs, leaving Xiaoya behind while repeating that she deserved it. My God! It's a snake eating a snake. These girls don't have an ounce of loyalty. A system notification informs, task, ordinary threat eliminated. System points, +10. Current points, 18 inches. Another notification pops up, new task unlocked. The new task is revealed, street cleaning. Task requirement, eliminate infected and monsters roaming outside the base, less than 0%. Reward points, 10 inches. Shanshan, watching our protagonist, wonders, shocked, how those guys turned into zombies so quickly. Our hero tells her that the apocalypse has officially begun, with a large amount of alien infection sources in the air. The dead exposed to the open air will transform into zombies quickly, and even the injured and those with weak constitutions are at high risk of mutation. Shanshan is impressed that our hero knows so much about this. With a serious look, Jiang Xiaoyong orders Shanshan to call everyone for a meeting. And well, it's meeting time. Shanshan closes the door to a room in the fortress where everyone is sitting. Jiang Xiaoyong addresses the group and orders them to stay indoors for the next 2 days unless necessary, keep windows and doors tightly closed, and let their bodies gradually adapt to the source of infection, as this will considerably reduce the risk of mutation. The white-haired friend, sweating cold, asks about Chong Ye, and well, the guy is not doing well at all. Chong Ye is lying unconscious on a bed in the infirmary. Chong Ye's hand, with veins pulsing abnormally, twitches involuntarily. Chong Ye, with closed eyes, reveals bulging red veins on his face and neck. It's definitely the flu. We then return to the city. Thick black smoke spreads. People run terrified through the city streets, trying to escape the chaos. A man watches from a building window, worried, and comments that it's complete chaos out there. He comments that he has to go to the warehouse that night and get the rest of the supplies. He tells her and the boy to stay home and no matter what happens, not to open the door to anyone but him, and asks them to confirm that they understand. It is then that some noises begin to echo near that place. The guy looks at the door in astonishment. The father asks his wife and son to be quiet. The guy approaches the door and calls for Brother Jay. Then he hears a noise at the door and is relieved to realize it's Yang Tao. He opens the door, but seconds later he's kicked to the ground. Yang Tao and 2 men subdue the old man. The thugs hold him down on the floor as he begs them to let him go. He questions Yang Tao about what he's doing and accuses him of betrayal, saying he always treated him well. Mockingly, Yang Tao asks him to repeat what he said and questions if he really thinks he treated him well. Yang Tao states that, in his eyes, he was just a lackey. The poor shop owner asks if Yang Tao has any conscience, questioning if he would have been able to pay the down payment on his house without his help. Yang Tao admits that he helped him a little with the down payment on the house, but that he's made enough to buy several houses. Yang Tao orders Zhang Shengje to stop talking and give him the warehouse keys and the address. Not getting the answer he wants, Yang Tao furiously asks if he's still stubborn as he looks at his family. Yang Tao grabs his wife by the hair and pulls her towards him, yelling at her to look at him and calling her a bitch. His son watches the scene in fear. The boy, crying, asks Yang Tao to let his mother go and advances on him. Then Yang Tao slaps the boy, calling him a brat and saying he's lost his mind. He pushes the boy hard away as the mother becomes desperate. The boy's father gets up from the floor and yells at Yang Tao, challenging him and calling him a bastard. He asks Yang Tao to face him and leave his wife and son alone. The bastard smiles maliciously and states that as long as he cooperates, his wife and son will be safe. Yang Tao demands that he be taken to his warehouse. Now at the warehouse, Yang Tao and his thugs observe the products inside. The scumbag opens some boxes inside the warehouse and, frustrated, asks Shengbo if that was all that was left. Then Zhang Shengji remembers that it was he who found those big customers, and that now everything is sold, even the near-expired or already expired food that was almost gone. Yang Tao puts his hand on the cheese and thinks that if they could take the supplies Zhang Xiaoyong has stockpiled at the factory, they'd be set for life. Zhang Shengji advises Yang Tao to stay away from Zhang Xiaoyong, recounting that when he was delivering goods, he happened to see that he was carrying a gun. Yang Tao concludes that Zhang Xiaoyong must have somehow found out about the disaster ahead of time. He gets irritated and says that's his problem to deal with. Zhang Shengji questions what he means by that. Yang Tao explains that Zhang Shengji can take Zhang Xiaoyong's supplies, and in return, his wife and son will be safe. He claims it's a fair trade. The poor man ponders the proposal with anger and apprehension. Zombie roars are heard near the fortress. Inside the factory infirmary, Zhang Xiaoyong and the others watch Chong Ye nervously in bed. Chong Ye, transformed into a zombie, roars fiercely. The tied-up zombie struggles violently, trying to get out of the bed. Everyone is completely emotional to see the situation their friend is in. The traitor says to kill him. Upon hearing this, our hero looks at him with disdain. Confused, Zhang Qi asks his friend what he said. He explains to Zhang Qi that Chong Ye is already dead, and if they don't kill him now, and he somehow breaks free, everyone's lives will be in danger. The friend with glasses opposes the idea, reminding them that Chong Ye is like a brother to them, questioning how they can give up on him without even trying to help. Zhang Xiaoyong says he's right. Once someone turns, there's almost no chance of recovery. The friend with glasses turns to Zhang Xiaoyong and begs him to do something. Our hero silently observes Chong Ye as he draws a knife. Then, Zhang Xiaoyong hands the knife to the friend who gave him the idea and tells him to use it. He freaks out and questions what Zhang Xiaoyong means by that. Our hero looks at the friend seriously and orders him to end Chong Ye's suffering. And well, it's easier said than done. The freak trembles, unable to hold the knife. Zhang Xiaoyong looks at the friend and says, "You always wanted a weapon, didn't you? Now, take this weapon and put him out of his misery." It is then that Zhang Qi takes the sword from Zhang Xiaoyong. He looks at the two of them with a serious look. He then makes up his mind and states with determination, "I'll do it." Zhang Xiaoyong holds the hasty man's knife and asks if he is sure about this, questioning what would happen if everything he said before was a lie. He warns him that by taking that action, he will officially become a murderer. Zhang Qi confidently says he trusts Zhang Xiaoyong. Hearing this answer, our hero smiles while Chong Ye writhes in bed. Then he encourages him to proceed. Zhang Qi, with wide eyes and gritted teeth, holds the knife, watching his friend totally beside himself as he thrashes on the bed, wanting to bite him. Then he prepares to plunge the knife and end the poor man's suffering once and for all. Zhang Qi moves forward with his decision, but suddenly his hand is stopped by Zhang Xiaoyong. Zhang Qi watches our hero and wonders why he did that. Then, our protagonist orders Zhang Qi and the others to leave, as Chong Ye's situation is special and he still has plans for him. A system notification pops up. "Rare mutant variant discovered!" Wow, I didn't expect that. So this would be the famous patient Zero, okay? Let's go make the cure then. Outside the infirmary, the sounds of the poor man's screams of agony could be heard. He thrashes about in bed, screaming. Zhang Xiaoyong approaches and says, "Chen Chong, isn't it?" Meanwhile, he growls, writhing in bed. Our hero then approaches Chen Chong and says that he has an important task for him. Now, outside our dear protagonist's fortress, a black car speeds by, kicking up dust. But it doesn't last long, because soon after it ends up hitting a pole. Then, Zhang Shengji gets out of the car, scratches his head, and complains about his bad luck. He says that he is at least almost at his destination, but as he says that, a zombie approaches silently. Zhang Shengji is caught off guard. The zombie roars and runs towards him. Then he gets a good bite on the arm. The old man, desperate, screams and breaks free by pushing the living dead away. Zhang Shengji gets into the car and struggles to grab a crowbar. Then, as he yells, cursing the living dead, he hits the creature hard with his weapon. The scenario is chaotic. The old man continues to attack the zombie non-stop until there is not even a drop of blood left in his brain. Jiang Shengji, breathless, watches the situation unfold. The old man curses, frustrated, as he tries to get away. He says that this is not a place to linger. Now, in front of the fortress, a black SUV is parked in the middle of the street. Zombies are scattered around the entrance. Then, our protagonist opens the door. A group formed by Jiang Xiaoyong, Shen Shan, Grandpa, Jiang Qi, and his colleagues prepare to face the zombies. Shen Shan complains that all the equipment makes her uncomfortable and clumsy. Jiang Xiaoyong warns Shan Shan, saying that zombies have no rationality and that their strength is much greater than that of a normal human, being very dangerous. With her combat experience at the moment, it was very likely that she would get hurt and that she should wear protective gear. Our hero explains to Shan Shan that when she gains more experience, she can take off the protective gear. The group, now outside the fortress, cautiously approaches a zombie. Zhang Xiaoyong warns the group that they are within the zombie's perception range and asks them to prepare. Shan Shan and Grandpa confirm that they are ready for combat. The zombie roars fiercely as it sees the group. Zhang Xiaoyong warns that they have been discovered and asks them to prepare for battle. He shouts, ordering them to remember what he taught them. Meanwhile, the zombie runs towards the group. Zhang Xiaoyong orders them to protect each other and keep their distance. The zombie attacks, and well, our hero makes the biggest dodge of his life. Look at the boy's skill, he plays a lot. The zombie is looking for him until now. Zhang Xiaoyong states that the moment the zombie misses its attack, it would be their chance. He shouts for them to aim for the zombie's temple or nape of the neck. The friend with glasses attacks the zombie with a machete. The poor zombie is hit in the face by the machete blow. The friend with glasses complains of pain because the impact of the blow was too great for his little hand. Jiang Xiaoyong warns the friend, saying that the skull is the strongest part of the head and that he will not cause much damage to the zombie by hitting its head, only leaving his hand sore. He says Zhao Kai's move is the perfect example of what not to do. The zombie roars as it advances towards the chubby man, who squeezes the machete in the hands of the living dead. The friend with glasses screams desperately for help. Jiang Xiaoyong praises the defense and says it was perfect. Then he calls for Zhang Qi, saying his teammate needs him right now. Oh my God. It looks like me training with my friend at the gym. Seriously, this happens every time. I'm there doing bench presses, and the miserable guy, instead of helping me, waits for me to die with the bar in my throat. Then, Zhang Qi prepares to hit the zombie with a piece of wood, and it's a home run. Zhang Qi lands a beautiful blow with the baseball bat on the zombie's neck. Jiang Xiaoyong praises Zhang Qi, but says that one blow is not enough and asks them to keep attacking. Zhang Qi and the friend with glasses are impressed with our hero's praise and ask how they will do the rest of the work. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles and says, "Oh, how will you do it?" But it is then that another zombie advances with everything to bite our protagonist. Zhang Qi yells, warning Jiang Xiaoyong. Turns and comes face to face with another zombie. The zombie roars fiercely, ready to attack our hero, but calm down. The man is in control. Zhang Xiaoyong dodges the zombie's attack and holds its head tightly. Our hero, holding the zombie by the head, asks Zhang Qi if he has forgotten what he told him and reprimands him, telling him to never let his guard down when it comes to observing his surroundings. The friend with glasses, Zhang Qi, and Shan Shan watch this, perplexed. Meanwhile, Zhang Shengji approaches the fortress and observes the surroundings. The old man, surprised, asks if there are already crazy mutants wandering around. He wonders if Jiang Xiaoyong has already met his end. From a distance, screams could be heard coming from the fortress. Jiang Xiaoyong warns that his comrade's back needs support. He says it's a good time to be vigilant and alert. Zhang Shengji wonders, that sound. Then, the old man recognizes the voice and says it is Zhang Xiaoyong. Zhang Shengji, standing near the SUV, says he needs to get out of there as quickly as possible as the place looks like a zombie nest. But it's too late. Suddenly, a zombie emerges from under the SUV. And guess who it is? That's right, the bitch who was cheated on by that other whore, whose name I already forgot. Sorry. Our protagonist's ex-girlfriend's sister, now a zombie, grabs Zhang Shengji's leg. He falls to the ground, his back slamming hard. Zhang Shengji is desperate as he looks at the monster coming towards him. The zombie roars fiercely as it advances. Oh my God! What happened to this girl? How horrible! You need to brush those teeth on my daughter! Zhang Shengji screams desperately for help, but calm down. Our hero doesn't wear a cape. He uses a machine gun. Oh, sorry, I'm out of ideas for that kind of joke already. Zhang Xiaoyong fires his gun at the zombie. Zhang Shengji, breathless, tries to get up from the ground. And it's a strike. Our hero hits the zombie's head, causing me to have to censor the whole scene so the video doesn't get demonetized. Then Zhang Shengji throws the already lifeless slut to the side. Zhang Xiaoyong, surprised, asks what he is doing there. The old man, emotional, approaches Zhang Xiaoyong and says he couldn't believe he was still alive. Our hero silently observes Zhang Shengji. He looks at his arm and points the gun at the old man, telling him that he has been bitten. Zhang Shengji implores Zhang Xiaoyong not to shoot, as he has something to say. Zhang Xiaoyong asks Zhang Shengji to say what he has to say, but not to come any closer. Then the poor man says that he knows he is already infected, and that it will be no more than half a day before he turns into one of those crazed mutants. Zhang Shengji cries and says that the bastard Yang Tao kidnapped his wife and son. He screams that Yang Tao is using them to blackmail him into finding a way to trick Zhang Xiaoyong and take all of his resources. Zhang Shengji, in tears, says that he knows he is not a noble person, but that he doesn't think he has ever done anything terribly bad. He begs for the lives of his wife and son, stating that they are innocent. The poor man implores Zhang Xiaoyong to take care of his family, as those animals would not spare his wife and son. He says their fate would be worse than his. He pleads with Zhang Xiaoyong to take care of them in the name of all the supplies he helped him collect. Our hero silently observes Zhang Shengji. He thinks that even though he did it for his own benefit, it still helped him a lot. Then our protagonist looks back, and he calculates that the fortress still has a lot of capacity and that, with many more men than women, the balance is a little uneven. Then a system notification pops up. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles, satisfied, to see that he has received a new task, an even more lucrative offer. The system notification displays, new task, entrust wife and son. Task requirement, rescue Zhang Shengji's wife and son. 0% reward points, 25. Task, street cleaning in progress. Task requirement, eliminate the infected monsters wandering outside the fortress. 70% reward points, 10. After seeing the system's mission, Zhang Xiaoyong assures Zhang Shengji that he will take care of his wife and son. Zhang Shengji, relieved, thanks and swears that in the next life, he will be Zhang Xiaoyong's loyal servant. The old man kneeling before our hero asks him to do it. Then Zhang Xiaoyong, confused, asks, "Do what?" Zhang Shengji begs him to kill him, as he didn't want to turn into one of those crazed mutants and put his family's life in danger. Zhang Xiaoyong thinks silently. Then our hero turns and asks Shanshan to bring a bicycle from the warehouse for Zhang Shengji. Zhang Xiaoyong hands the bike to the old man and tells him to go far away, avoid contact with other people, and go somewhere secluded. Zhang Shengji, confused, asks why he is doing this. Zhang Xiaoyong replies that he doesn't need to know why and that he doesn't have much time left. He orders Zhang Shengji to just do as he's told. Then the poor man thanks Zhang Xiaoyong and says goodbye to him. Zhang Shengji rides his bike away from the fortress. He pedals at high speed, thinking about his wife and son. Meanwhile, his face changes expression, his eyes turn red, his transformation had begun. Now, returning to the fortress, Zhang Xiaoyong, observing the pile of zombie corpses piled up, begins to pour gasoline. Zhang Xiaoyong lights a lighter, and it's zombie barbecue. The zombie bodies are drowned in flames. Zhang Xiaoyong, breathless, complains that he is exhausted that day. Then he calculates that with the group's current strength and experience, 2 or 3 of them would already be able to kill a zombie alone with melee weapons without taking any damage. The system displays the message, "Learning in progress." Task, eliminate the monsters wandering outside the fortress. Complete reward points, +10. Current points, 28. Zhang Xiaoyong explains that when it comes to small groups of zombies, or a horde, they are definitely not ready. Then, he orders them to follow him. Shanshan, Grandpa, and the others watch Zhang Xiaoyong with his back to the gate. Zhang Xiaoyong calls for Shengbo and hands him the key to the fortress. warehouse. He tells the old man that the warehouse has weapons, that he is going into town that night, and that the security of the fortress is in his hands. The grandfather, thoughtful, tells Zhang Xiaoyong that the city must be a complete madhouse right now, and questions whether he will go alone. Then, the friend with glasses and Zhang Qi say they will go with Zhang Xiaoyong, but he stops them both and says there is no need, as they are not ready for that kind of danger. He says that if they went, they would only be a burden. Shengbo wishes Zhang Xiaoyong good luck. Now, inside the car, our hero observes his arsenal of weapons: a rifle, a crossbow, and a machete. Then, Zhang Xiaoyong looks at the system dashboard, complaining that the system store updates are too slow. As the mission is difficult, he will update the store to ensure his safety. The system displays: update complete, 2 points deducted, current points 26. System shop, supply box, black technology, level 1, 20 points. Supply box, lifesaver, level 1, 5 points. Supply box, armed deterrent, level 1, 5 points. Manual update, 4 points. Zhang Xiaoyong is startled to realize that the cost of the manual update has gone from 2 points to 4 points, and says that he needs to be careful with that. Then he says that the updated boxes are cool and that he has enough points. Then the system displays supply box, black technology, level 1, redeemed, 20 points deducted, current points, 6 inches. As our hero fiddles with the system store, a bright light emanates from within. Haha, the guy took a flashbang inside the car. The system displays supply box, black technology, level 1, open, reward, physical strength enhancement serum, 5. Zhang Xiaoyong, surprised by the reward, exclaims, feeling like he's used a flashbang on himself. Then our hero, surprised, wonders if it's a strength enhancement serum. Zhang Xiaoyong says it's time to use it immediately and injects the serum into his arm. Our hero coughs as his eyes glow brightly. The system displays the message, attributes, 13. Now Zhang Xiaoyong has 260% more strength than a normal human, still possessing the abilities Spatial Ring and Mind's Eye. Then, the time for the clash approaches. From afar, Zhang Shengzhe's house is seen. Inside the room, Zhang Shengzhe's wife, grabbing her son, tells him not to be afraid and assures him that Daddy will take care of everything. Then, Yang Tao and 2 henchmen enter the room. Zhang Shengzhe's wife, terrified, asks what they are doing. Yang Tao smiles wickedly and asks what she thinks they are going to do. Yang Tao and the henchmen grab Zhang Shengzhe's wife, who begs them to stop. Man, I hope our hero blows this guy up and has a barbecue afterwards. This guy deserves it. Yang Tao holds Zhang Shengzhe's wife while their son throws weak punches, unable to inflict any damage. The woman begs them to stop. Yang Tao smiles maliciously. The scene is disgusting. Meanwhile, someone approaches the room. One of Yang Tao's thugs, incredulous, asks, "What are you doing? What's all this noise?" One of the thugs tells Li Shuxiong to join them. Li Shuxiong warns them that the task isn't finished yet and reprimands the thug for thinking about other things. He orders them to release the woman. The thug asks what the problem is, saying it's not the first time they've done this. Li Shuxiong questions the thug, asking what they will do if the woman can't take the pressure and tries to kill herself. He says that, in that case, her husband will have nothing to lose and will fight them to the death. He emphasizes that no one will come out of this situation unscathed. And well, I was starting to think he was a somewhat decent guy after that. However, the guy is a real bastard. Seconds later, Li Shuxiong says that as soon as they're done with her husband, they'll come back for the wife, and she won't have a single day of rest. The thug agrees to obey, but shows frustration, calling his attitude depressing. Yang Tao licks his lips and looks at the hostages, asking them to wait for him. Zhang Shengzhe's wife hugs her son, who is crying desperately, the woman cowering in fear in the corner of the room. A crescent moon shines in the night sky. An infected man walks the streets. Meanwhile, Zhang Xiaoyong is driving his car. He watches the road carefully and says that with 13 energy points, he has more than double the resistance of a normal person, and his reaction and control have also improved significantly. Then our hero accelerates the car, dodging other vehicles. Zhang Xiaoyong, feeling the adrenaline in his blood, exclaims that the feeling is incredible. A fog spreads through the city. Zombies walk the streets. The post-apocalyptic city is gripped by terror. Only the strongest survive. Jiang Xiaoyong stops the car and says that the city center is just ahead and driving will attract too much attention. So he decides to walk. Suddenly, he hears a roar and turns his face. Jiang Xiaoyong is startled to see two infected running towards him. The infected approach, but Jiang Xiaoyong quickly dodges to the side. Our hero makes a fist and delivers a powerful blow to the zombie's ear. Then he quickly grabs the zombie's arm and throws it against the other zombie. Ha ha ha! The zombie must not have understood a thing. He must have said, "Calm down, bro, I was just kidding, chill." Jiang Xiaoyong starts to materialize something in his hand. Then he pulls out his knife. Jiang Xiaoyong runs at high speed towards the creatures and tears everyone apart in an instant, decapitating the infected who fall to the ground headless. Our hero watches and thinks that whether in strength or reflexes, he is completely dominating those zombies. He concludes that this is what it is like to have more than double the physical strength of a normal person. Jiang Xiaoyong says that, in addition to enhanced strength and reflexes, his intuition has also improved significantly. He concentrates, trying to use his intuition, but something seems to be blocking it. Then, our hero says that the blockage is about 800 meters away. But suddenly, a system message appears. Encounter mission triggered. Some men trapped inside an establishment are attacked by zombies. One of them screams, terrified, that they are surrounded. One of the guards trapped inside shouts, "Quick! Move some more heavy things here." A young man, crying, asks in despair if they will die there. The father tries to calm his son, telling him not to worry as those sons of bitches wouldn't be able to get in. But if they did, worst case scenario, they would be reunited with their mother. The young man cries even louder, terrified. The guard scolds the father, asking if he ever thinks before he speaks. The friend says he's making things worse. Then he replies, "Damn it! Think before I speak! If I could do that, I'd already be the property manager." The guard wonders if they are really going to die there that day. Meanwhile, the noise from the zombies shoving doesn't stop. The guard, frightened, asks what that sound is. Suddenly, a zombie's head explodes as it roars. The young man is startled and cries out, falling backwards as he watches what just happened. The zombie falls, splattering the shop window with bloodstains. The man, sweating and with a desperate look, asks Old Man Song and Zixuan to remove the heavy objects from the entrance of the store. The guy asks the group to be quiet and not make any noise. Meanwhile, the boys continue to push the heavy object with difficulty. The street in front of the store is empty, with the zombies all dead. The group, inside the store, watches in terror at the carnage outside. The father asks who did that. The young man holds a pipe tightly and says it must have been a mutant. Then, his father asks what a mutant is. The young man explains that the mutant is a stronger, faster version of a common zombie. He continues, saying that's how they are portrayed in comics, novels, and games. The father scolds his son for talking about games, novels, and comics, saying it was no wonder his grades were always the worst. The guard tells Old Man Song that he really has no emotional intelligence and questions if this was the time to be reminded of that. He asks everyone to be aware of what is happening around them, as they don't want to be ambushed by the mutant. The group watches the street carefully, the guard asking everyone to watch their own direction and walk slowly towards the base. The group stops walking and notices something ahead. Then, he wonders what is going on and what that is. A system message appears for Jiang Xiaoyong. Encounter mission complete. Rescue complete. System points +5. Current points 11 inches. The group sees Jiang Xiaoyong in front of them. The young man cries out in terror, saying that it is a mutant. The bald man looks at Jiang Xiaoyong and comments that to him, the guy actually looks more like a survivor. Jiang Xiaoyong laughs and says the young man has quite an imagination. Our hero says it's not like mutants are common yet. Then, the bald man cheers up and says it seems he really is a survivor. The guard warns Jiang Xiaoyong that it is very dangerous to be alone out there. He says that at times like these, they need to unite to survive. He invites Jiang Xiaoyong to go with them. Oh my God, this guy has no idea who he's talking to. Jiang Xiaoyong observes the group and asks who they are and if they are the only ones. Then the guard says they are looking for supplies and that there are still some civilians gathered in Rongxiang Garden. Our hero asks if Rongxiang Garden isn't near Jinyu Mansion. A man confirms and says that Rongxiang Garden is just across the street. The father encourages Jiang Xiaoyong to go with them, saying that there is strength in numbers. He mentions that Captain Li has a gun and that they have a lot of experience dealing with the crazy ones, and that they can protect Jiang Xiaoyong. Then our hero gives a slightly awkward smile and thanks for the offer. Man, I'm cracking up at our protagonist's reaction. It's just like a few mice offering to help a dragon survive. Jiang Xiaoyong walks down a dark street with his new almost friends. The man asks if he's going to the Jinyu mansion and if he's meeting someone important. Our hero replies that he is. The man asks Jiang Xiaoyong if the person is a relative or a girlfriend. He comments that it's the end of the world and that therefore, whoever Jiang Xiaoyong is looking for is probably already dead. He warns our hero that he needs to prepare himself mentally as the situation is serious. The family man states that even if they hadn't been killed by looters, they still could have encountered those beasts. Our protagonist thoughtfully asks, "Beasts?" The guy warns Jiang Xiaoyong about a group of beasts hiding in the Biyu mountain village area east of the city. He adds that, to survive, they don't hesitate to hurt other survivors. The poor man remembers encountering that group once, and as a result, many of his companions died at their hands. But he stops and warns the group not to talk about it now, emphasizing that they need to stay vigilant when encountering other survivors. Then, the young man holds a stick and yells for his uncle to be careful. A zombie approaches at full speed, and well, the guy almost dies. He shoots with his weapon, neutralizing the zombie. He curses the zombie, and well, more infected people approach. The shots attracted the attention of the monsters, which are coming in their direction. The police officer, terrified, thinks about what he should do and struggles to remain calm. He quickly looks around and exclaims that he's found something. He yells for them to get on that bus. Our hero, smiling, analyzes their attitude and states that running aimlessly could attract more zombies, but the bus, being an enclosed shelter, is perfect for defense and retreat as long as it doesn't fall over, because if that happens, there will be nowhere to retreat. And well, he would give that emergency decision a 70. The police officer yells for him to hurry up and follow him. Jiang Xiaoyong enters the bus at full speed like a ninja. Then, the police officer slams the bus door shut and asks them to be careful, asking them to check each seat to make sure there are no looters hiding. The young man, looking out the window, warns the others that they haven't given up and are still gathering there. The police officer despairs and states that they ran too slowly. The zombies' hands bang on the window non-stop. A horde of undead has formed around the bus. Our poor police officer struggles to contain the zombies and yells that he can't hold on any longer. He starts to feel a chill as he watches Jiang Xiaoyong's hand approaching. Our hero, without much difficulty, pushes the zombie, door and all. The guy, impressed by Jiang Xiaoyong's strength, exclaims. Jiang Xiaoyong asks him to call everyone to break the windows and fight back as he's blocking the door to prevent them from opening. The police officer confirms. Then he runs and breaks the windows with a stick. Immediately, several zombies approach the broken window, but as soon as the first zombie gets an inch of its head near the window, it's hit by a crowbar. The family man yells for the zombie to die as he smashes its face in further. His son and wife approach to help contain the situation. The police officer calculates that, with so many monsters, those bullets won't be enough. But then he looks to the side, and Jiang Xiaoyong tells him to use that. Jiang Xiaoyong simply appeared with a freaking crossbow. The police officer wonders where the hell that thing came from. Then our hero replies that he simply picked it up earlier while handing it to him. Outside the bus, several zombies are hit. The alpha males inside the bus curse the zombies and tell them to get lost while hitting them with melee weapons and firearms. Then, the group reunites outside the bus. The zombies have been defeated. The young man exclaims and comments that twice they've turned danger into safety, and that's no coincidence. Furthermore, he says they are the children of destiny in this apocalypse. Jiang Xiaoyong reprimands the young man and tells him to be careful and not make careless mistakes like that again. While cracking his knuckles, our hero states that he should have killed them all. Now, in the fortress, Shengbo wishes Xiaoyong well. Zhang-Chi and the others walk down a corridor of the fortress. Then the traitor offers to stand guard that night. The friend asks Zhang-Chi why he is suddenly so enthusiastic. The scoundrel reprimands his friend and tells him not to talk nonsense, as he apparently hasn't seen him enthusiastic. Still, the friend insists and asks what's wrong and why he's reacting so strongly. Shengbo announces that since Yiming is bravely taking the lead, everyone else should go back to their rooms and rest. Furthermore, Shengbo asks Yiming to be careful and, if anything happens, wake everyone up. Yiming assures him that he doesn't need to worry. Then, a few hours pass. The scoundrel in the watchtower observes the night and thinks it's getting late, and everyone must have gone to sleep by now. Then he states that there's no time to waste, and that he needs to settle things before Jiang Xiaoyong returns. Shengbo, sleeping in his bed, drops the key to the fortress on the floor. Meanwhile, the vagabond stealthily approaches. Shengbo sleeps soundly in his bed. Then Yiming cautiously reaches for Shengbo's key. Suddenly, the old man opens his eyes abruptly with an expression of surprise and alertness. Yiming and Shengbo stare at each other. Immediately, Shengbo, furious, questions what Yiming is doing. Without hesitation, Yiming punches Shengbo in the face. The wretch runs away with the key, while Shengbo yells furiously, cursing him as a bastard and demanding he return the key. Shan, visibly worried, asks what happened. Shengbo, with his hand on his face where Yiming hit him, warns everyone that Yiming stole the keys to the armory, and he asks them to hurry and stop him. Shan and the others ask what Yiming is doing and order him to stop. Yiming runs towards the armory. He knocks down a ladder behind him as he runs. Zhang-Chi curses him as a sneaky brat while stopping at the debris he left behind. Yiming, inside the infirmary, observes the door. He decides to go through with it. Then he approaches Chen Chong, who is tied to the bed. Yiming touches the rope that binds Chen Chong. Chen Chong opens his eyes, revealing an empty and malicious look. He roars fiercely. Yiming gets scared and falls backward, asking what's happening. Surprised, he questions why Chen Chong's restraints are loose. He wonders if the knot was loose. But then the wretch thinks that freeing Chen Chong saved him the trouble of untying him. Our heroes run towards the infirmary. Zhang-Chi exclaims, incredulous, that Lu Yiming freed Chen Chong from the infirmary. Then he asks if he's trying to kill everyone. Shengbo states that he never imagined that kid would be so despicable. Desperate, Shan asks what they will do now, since all the weapons are locked in the armory. Finally, she decides that, no matter the cost, they need to work together to lock the zombie back in the infirmary. He orders them to spread out and use the methods Xiaoyong taught them. He warns the group to be careful and not get bitten. The group spreads out through the infirmary, while Chen Chong remains motionless in the center. Zhang-Chi announces that this is their chance. Thus, the group advances towards Chen Chong. Chen Chong is grabbed from behind. Zhang-Chi yells, "Take this!" Chen Chong growls while the group immobilizes him. Zhang-Chi states that they have him under control. Then, Shengbo orders them to tie him up tightly and take him back to the infirmary. Then Zhang-Chi yells, 3, 2, 1, push! Our hero, after pushing the zombie, slams the door shut. The old man watches the zombie from outside. Now safe, they wonder if that wasn't too easy. Worried, Shengbo complains that they wasted a lot of time there and that brat has probably already taken the weapons. Immediately, Yiming appears and asks who dares to call him a brat. And well, he says he doesn't know where Jiang Xiaoyong hid the weapons. He states that there was only one in the armory, but that's enough to deal with all of them. He states that when he's finished with them, he'll find the rest. Yiming orders them to move and go to the back room. Zhang-Chi asks what Lu Yiming is doing. Then he states that Xiaoyong is their savior, but he replies that a great favor can turn into a great grudge. Yiming asks them to analyze our protagonist, thinking he's all-powerful, and even though he saved them once, they are now practically his slaves for life. Shengbo comments that some people are ungrateful by nature and impossible to teach. The friend with glasses begs Lu Ming not to do that. Yiming, irritated, tells everyone to shut up and do what he says. So, Chen Chong roars inside the infirmary, just waiting for some food to drop in. The wretch orders them to move and hurry. Now, in the midst of the nocturnal city, the police officer informs them that they are one intersection away from the Jinyu mansion. Furthermore, he warns that the terrain in the complex is complicated. perfect for mutants to hide, and asks them to be careful. He then advises that as soon as they find their companions, they should go to Rongxiang Garden to meet up with them. Finally, he informs them that they are in Building 8 and should enter through the side gate, not the main entrance. Jiang Xiaoyong thanks him and confirms that he understands. The family man asks if they shouldn't help Jiang Xiaoyong, since after all, he kind of saved them. The police officer replies that they don't know what's inside the Jinyu mansion. Then, the poor man, worried, asks if, should our hero walk into a horde of zombies? Isn't he walking to his death? The police officer states that they warned him about everything. In the end, he laments that Jiang Xiaoyong has good skills. The crescent moon illuminates the night sky over the city. Li Shuxiang complains that the power is out and there's no phone signal either. Inside the building, he comments that he doesn't know if Zhang Shengzhe managed to complete his task. Soon, one of his henchmen says he doesn't care and that he's been holding back for a long time. Then, he says that tonight he's going to relax. Otherwise, he won't be able to sleep. One of the henchmen states that Zhang Shengzhe is probably already dead, since he went there alone. Then, another man says that when they go, they will tie up Zhang Shengzhe's wife so she doesn't have a chance to kill herself. Then, they comment that who knows when their time will come, and that therefore they might as well enjoy themselves first, without regrets. Meanwhile, Zhang Shengzhe's poor family cowers in the corner of a small room. A man warns them to be careful and not let the woman die. Soon after, one of the henchmen asks him if he's coming or not. The supreme henchman expresses surprise. He threatens him, saying that if he doesn't stop talking, those would be his last moments alive. Suddenly, one of the henchmen asks why all the zombies downstairs are dead. The super henchman opens the door to see what's happening. Meanwhile, he wonders if it's a rescue. Suddenly, he's startled. An extremely fast blade passes through his neck before he can react. The man coughs up blood as his head separates from his body. Meanwhile, the men approach Zhang Shengzhe's wife and child. The poor mother orders everyone to leave. Two men smile maliciously. Soon after, one of them says, "Enough! Stop pretending!" The woman cries out in despair, "What are you doing? Let him go!" Meanwhile, her poor son is pulled away. The wretch slaps her across the face. As the boy flies away, the devil on earth states that they are the target. The boy, kneeling, says he will fight with all his might to defend his mother. Suddenly, a man is thrown out the door. The boy reprimands the men and, desperate, yells that they are bad people and asks them to let his mother go, as his father will not forgive them. Suddenly, one of the henchmen, headless, is thrown into the room. The boy screams in fear as he observes the mangled body. The boy continues to be afraid and, staring at a shadow in the doorway, asks, "Who is it?" Then, Jiang Xiaoyong finally appears and asks the boy if Zhang Shengzhe is his father. The frightened boy murmurs. The woman despairs and shrinks back. Suddenly, Li Shuxiang slaps the woman and, furious, yells at her, asking if she's afraid her son will hear. He threatens her, saying that if she doesn't talk, they will have their fun. One of the henchmen says that since there's no sound, he'll go first. He strokes the woman's head as she cries. Then the bedroom door bursts open. One of the henchmen, sneering, comments that the boy has quite a bit of strength. Suddenly, one of their necks is swiftly cut. Li Shuxiang turns and, looking towards the door, asks why they haven't gotten rid of the boy yet. Then, against all their expectations, one of his henchmen falls in front of them, headless. Li Shuxiang wonders what's going on. Then, in the blink of an eye, Jiang Xiaoyong crushes the wretch's head. The wretch flies backward until he hits the wall. Li Shuxiang, as he receives the impact of our protagonist's blow, spits up blood. One of the henchmen asks our hero who he is. And, well, our hero delivers the best kick this guy has ever received in his life. Now, at the fortress, Yiming holds his pistol and threatens to shoot if they don't get out of there. Shengbo orders the others to do as he says and go to the room he mentioned. He states that the wretch has a gun, and therefore, for now, they will do what he says, as they need to think of something. Yiming smiles maliciously and says they think they can plan something, but if he doesn't show some cruelty that day, he will never establish his dominance. The traitor, smiling, says that old Deng will die first. Then he points the gun at the old man. Shanshan and Zhang Qi cry out desperately, "Grandpa!" Yiming observes the infirmary door. Meanwhile, he asks what that sound was. Surprised, he asks what's happening and how the infirmary was unlocked. The doorknob keeps turning. He wonders who's there. Suddenly, a zombified Chen Chong appears. The key? They wonder if Chen Chong unlocked the door himself, but they state that it's impossible. After all, he's a berserker and therefore wouldn't use a key. Yiming observes Chen Chong and, surprised, asks what's happening. Chen Chong, with glowing red eyes, advances towards Yiming, drool dripping from his mouth. Yiming points the gun at him. Then he says he can't let him live since a zombie used a key to unlock the door. Then he shoots, but to his surprise, the gun misfires. Yiming despairs and exclaims that the gun is jammed. Chen Chong advances. Yiming, terrified, asks how this can be happening. The idiot cries for help as he is chewed on by Chen Chong. Then, Chen Chong stands up. After tearing Yiming apart, Chen Chong carries him away in his own hands. The group wonders what's happening there. Zhang Qi states that Chen Chong was so calm moments before. Everyone stares at Chen Chong in astonishment. Sheng Bo, seeing the absurd amount of blood, puts his hand over his mouth. Then, the zombie approaches the doorknob with the key. Suddenly, he throws the key to the group. The key falls in front of them. And well, the zombie simply returns to the infirmary as if nothing had happened. Everyone looks at each other dumbfounded. Wow, now things have gotten absurd. My mind just exploded. A zombie with an IQ of 150? I wonder if he makes coffee too. Finally, Jiang Xiaoyong enters the room where Jiang Shengjia's family was trapped. Then he looks at the boy and orders him to come closer. The boy, frightened, looks at Jiang Xiaoyong, confused, and questions what he wants. Meanwhile, the boy's mother, terrified, hugs him and asks Jiang Xiaoyong what he will ask her son to do. However, Jiang Xiaoyong ignores the woman and again calls the boy. The boy, still in shock, leaves his mother and says he's okay. Then, the boy approaches and suddenly, our hero hands him a knife and tells him to take it. Next, Jiang Xiaoyong coldly looks at the men lying on the floor and orders the boy to kill them. The tied-up men beg Jiang Xiaoyong not to do that. The mother, completely shocked, screams that he is just a child. Despite this, ignoring everyone, Jiang Xiaoyong seriously looks at the boy and says that, from that moment on, things change. Our hero states that he is now his mother's only hope. Jiang Xiaoyong explains to the boy that those men are responsible for his father's death. Faced with this, the boy, with a look of terror, looks at the men. Finally, with wide eyes, the boy screams and attacks, charging towards those fools with the knife. Afterward, the boy quickly stabs the men. Tired, the boy sighs in relief that it's all over. The boy's mother screams his name, Xiao Shuai, horrified by the scene. Immediately afterward, the boy asks Jiang Xiaoyong if they really killed his father. Then, our hero answers yes. The boy's mother approaches, hugs her son, and begs Jiang Xiaoyong to take him away from there. She claims she will do anything. However, the boy tells his mother that he won't leave and that he wants to stay with her and protect her. But then Jiang Xiaoyong states that they will both go with him and promises that everything will be all right, because he promised Jiang Shengjia that he would keep them safe. Now, outside the building, the three walk amidst the darkness of the apocalyptic night. At a certain point, the boy comes across a pile of bodies of zombies and non-zombies lying on the ground and, surprised, asks what kind of creature is so strong, being able to take down so many zombies. In response, Jiang Xiaoyong answers him, "Me." Suddenly, our hero raises his hand and signals for them to stop for a bit. Jiang Xiaoyong looks to the side and asks the woman if she knows the approximate location of Building 8 in Rongxiang Garden. Then, the woman is startled and tells our hero that it should be in the direction he is looking and asks him why. In Rongxiang Garden, a group of armed men approaches the building. The leader says they will redistribute the supplies fairly. He orders that all women under 40 years old come with them. Inside Building 8, that group of people walks fearfully, and in front of the group, the policeman and the family man lead. One of them asks what they should do and suggests that they surrender. However, the policeman states that those animals do not keep their promises, and that in the end, except for Yu Yueran and Hao Fang, none of them would survive. The policeman, looking at the group, warns that they have 10 minutes, and that if they don't cooperate, he won't leave a single one of them alive. A woman suggests that maybe the two should go and beg them to spare them. However, the other woman refuses refuses, saying she doesn't want to be a toy for their lust. Then the policeman says not to worry because they won't compromise and asks them to guard the corridor. He guarantees that they won't pass them. Outside, one of the thugs says that they may have good weapons, but their leader also has a real firearm. He complains that if those cowards keep hiding, they won't be able to force their way in. Then, the leader says there is no need for force and orders them to turn off the main water supply to the ground floor apartments. He wants to see how long they will last. Meanwhile, Xiaoyong, the mother, and the little boy arrive in front of the building. The boy asks Uncle Xiaoyong if those people are also bandits. Xiaoyong replies yes, stating they're like the ones who intimidated his mother and him. Back at the building, the policeman tells them to secure the stairs and not reveal themselves, saying he'll check what they're doing downstairs. The people ask him to be careful. The policeman then peeks out the window. He counts 7 fully armed people, 3 of them with firearms. Suddenly, he gets startled by something he sees from the window. Inside the building, the people also look frightened. Their leader asks what's happening. Outside, several bandits are thrown in all directions. Their leader shouts, asking who's there. The policeman, sweating profusely, watches from the window, terrified, and stammers upon seeing who it was. Yes, our hero doesn't wear a cape. He wields an extended magazine AK-47. Xiaoyong walks towards the building. The policeman incredulously states that it's that boy. Immediately, Xiaoyong, outside, fires towards the bandits. One of the bandits screams in pain as he falls to the ground with a bullet in his head. Another bandit watches his partner fall beside him. 2 armed guys shoot towards our hero. Xiaoyong easily dodges the shots. He mocks them, calling them amateurs. Suddenly, our hero appears behind their boss. The bandit, breathless and sweating profusely, asks where that lunatic came from. Xiaoyong, without a second thought, shoots him, who hides behind a cabinet. Then the boss asks what they were doing while he held him and yells for the other one to shoot. The other bandit curses and shoots towards our hero. Xiaoyong then looks to the side. He promptly shoots the bandit. The bandit screams in pain after taking 2 shots. The other bandit mocks Xiaoyong, asking if he ran out of bullets. The boss smiles and orders him to prepare to die. Suddenly, he aims right in front of our hero, who remains motionless. Then, he shoots towards Xiaoyong, but our boy dodges with ease. The furious bandit curses and orders him to go to hell. Our hero then dodges and twists the arm of the bandit's boss. The bandit, with the gun pointed at his chin, is startled. Xiaoyong then quickly shoots the bandit in the chin. He then observes the fallen boss's body on the ground. Next, Xiaoyong approaches the other fallen bandit. He kneels and checks his heartbeat. After that, our hero enters the building. 3 guys await him at the entrance, armed with sickles and axes. Xiaoyong observes them seriously. Suddenly, those 3 guys attack Xiaoyong, but Xiaoyong dodges their attack and shoots them. After that, our hero orders everyone to come out. Inside the building, the boy states that Uncle Yong was amazing just now. At the same time, people come out of their hiding places to see what was happening. Suddenly, a notification appears for Xiaoyong. New task, reinforcements, recruit survivors from Rongxiang Garden. Reward, 25 points. Our hero stands up and asks who those people are. The policeman replies that they are the beasts from the Bichuisan villages. Xiaoyong then wonders where Bichuisan is. The policeman replies that it's south of the city. Then, the 2 friends come running. The policeman then asks them to run and tell Brother Yong about Bichuisan. Thus, they tell Xiaoyong that those people were a well-armed and resourceful gang. They are hidden in the Bichuisan villages, taking almost all the survivors in the south. Our hero then wonders, thoughtfully, if that's where Li Shuxiong and Kui Jing settled in his past life. He questions if it would really be there. Then, Xiaoyong asks if the 2 are saying that Bichuisan is the only settlement left in the south now. And well, the guy in yellow confirms that it wasn't originally like that, but since they had weapons, the smaller settlements couldn't defend themselves against them. The guy with the helmet states that those animals kill half the people everywhere they dominate. Then he says that after Afterward, they bring back the young and beautiful women and anyone willing to be an accomplice. Xiaoyong states that it has to be them. Then, the policeman is startled and asks, "What?" Xiaoyong then asks old Li to check the three guys' 3 pistols each to see if there are extra magazines. The policeman states that there probably are more. Then, our hero hands over his weapon and tells him to keep that rifle too, and says he'll leave 5 magazines for him. The policeman, surprised, stammers upon seeing the rifle and the magazines. Then Xiaoyong states that the Bichushan group won't let him go with those weapons, and that with them, 10 or 20 men won't be able to take him down. He orders them to stay there for a few days while he reorganizes at home and returns with them to deal with Bichushan. The guy with the helmet is startled and asks if he's serious. He states that Xiaoyong can't face them, that they have dozens of people, probably even more now. In contrast, the policeman then tells Xiaoyong that it's not worth the risk for them, that they would find another place. He states that the place is a few kilometers away and that they can't scour the entire city. Xiaoyong says not to worry, because that was personal between him and them. Furthermore, Xiaoyong states that in a few days, he would return with a larger vehicle to take everyone to the east of the city. The policeman then is startled and asks, "East?" Xiaoyong confirms and says it's near the old Tea Leaf city building. He states that he's building a fortress there and needs people. The policeman then says that now he understands. Then, our hero says goodbye, telling them to be careful and asking them to hurry. Next, the policeman tells them to be safe. Outside, zombies are left on the ground. Now, sitting on a chair on a rooftop of a building near Bichwi-san, a guard observes everything. Then we can see the bodies of 3 zombies hanging in front of the entrance to Bichwi-san. Inside Bichwi-san, 4 men are sitting at a table, discussing. Then a stylish guy in white and glasses asks if they haven't dealt with the supplies at the Jinyu Entertainment Center yet. Li Shuxiong replies that he sent people and that they should have returned already. One of the guys then tells Wen that there are some important affiliates living in the Jinyu mansion. Next, he asks Xiao Li if they couldn't just take the supplies from the entertainment center. Xiao Li states to Kai Gei that he already told his men to bring back anyone alive, but Wen scolds him, saying that he hasn't completed a single task he gave him yet. Then Xiao Li states not to worry and guarantees that this time he will make sure everything is handled perfectly. Now, outside the building, Li Shuxiong walks breathlessly towards his thug. Then, the thug asks Brother Li if he's okay, but the fat man, without a second thought, asks if those 7 guys returned. Then, the crazy one states that he sent people to check an hour ago and that the news is bad. Then, Xiao Li is startled and asks, "What? Were they all killed?" He gets irritated and asks if they weren't just ordinary civilians from the Rongxiang Guard and asks how the heck 3 weapons were enough to take them down. Li Shuxiong then orders them to tell Taozi to gather everyone who can handle weapons. He states that this time he won't let this fail. Oh my God, these guys have no idea how screwed they are. So, some time passes, and finally, Zhang Xiaoyong arrives at his fortress. Inside the building, Shanshan hears the sound of the car and immediately exclaims that it must be Brother Yong. The car skids to a halt. At the same instant, a system message notifies our hero that the mission Assume Responsibility has been completed. He receives 25 points, totaling 36. As soon as Jiang Xiaoyong gets out of the car, Shan and Grandpa run to greet him, happy that he has finally returned safe and sound. Soon, seeing everyone there except the traitor, Jiang Xiaoyong comments that it really was Lu Yiming. Shan, surprised, asks Jiang Xiaoyong if he knew everything from the beginning. Xiaoyong then asks Zhang Qi to take Zhang Shengzhe's wife and son to their room and then meet them in the infirmary. Zhang Qi readily agrees. Now inside the infirmary, Grandpa asks if Xiaoyong knew about Lu Yiming's bad intentions from the start. Our hero then says that he wasn't sure if it was him, but he knew that one of Zhang Qi's friends was a scoundrel. Zhang Xiaoyong then hands the gun to Zhang Qi. Surprised, he takes the gun and realizes it's loaded with rubber bullets. Shengbo then wonders what kind of child is in the infirmary. While approaching the door, Jiang Xiaoyong says, "What was his name again?" "Oh, right, Chen Chong." He explains that Chen Chong is not an ordinary zombie, but a rare mutant. He then asks Chen Chong to blink 3 times slowly if he understands what Xiaoyong is saying. The zombie Chen Chong quickly obeys. Then Xiaoyong asks, "What is 2 times 3?" He asks Chen Chong to blink to answer, and well, Chen Chong blinks 6 times. Xiaoyong explains that after the apocalypse, those infected by otherworldly sources have a small chance of becoming rare mutants. Typically, they have much higher intelligence or potential than regular zombies, and can even retain fragments of their past memories. Fortunately, Chen Chong is exceptionally rare among the rare. Then, everyone watches our dear pet zombie Cheng Chong crushing the traitor's head. The zombie then stares at them and suddenly waves. "Look how cute." Then our hero says that's enough, and that they don't need to hold him, just finish off that bastard Lu Yiming quickly. Chen Chong then drags Lu Yiming by the shirt. Suddenly, Zhang Qi, frightened, exclaims and asks if Chen Chong still remembers him. And well, zombies don't talk. Chen Chong growls at him, who, frightened, starts to sweat. But suddenly, Chen Chong attacks Zhang Qi with a slap, who exclaims, "What the hell?" Zhang Qi states that even as a zombie, Chen Chong can't control himself, while our clever zombie gives a sideways smirk. Then, a system message appears and notifies Xiaoyong that he has unlocked a hidden achievement, having a mutant companion. He receives 10 more points, totaling 46. Xiaoyong, surprised, celebrates unlocking the achievement and decides to check if the store has anything new. In the store, Xiaoyong finds 3 boxes: a lifesaver supply box, level 1, for 5 points, an armed deterrent supply box, level 1, for 5 points, and a high-tech supply box, level 2, for 50 points. And as always, there is also the option to manually refresh for 4 points. Then Xiaoyong, surprised, comments that it's the first time he's seen a level 2 box, but it costs 50 points, which is very expensive. Thoughtful, Xiaoyong decides to open the first 2, so they don't take up inventory space. Then a system message notifies Xiaoyong that the lifesaver supply box has been successfully redeemed. 5 points were deducted, totaling 41. Then, another system message notifies Xiaoyong that the armed deterrent supply box has been successfully redeemed. 5 more points were deducted, totaling 36. Xiaoyong then taps the system and observes the rewards from the boxes. Interdimensional infection blocker, level 1, which has a chance to block otherworldly infections, but does not reverse existing mutations or infections. And a Barrett M82 rifle for special purposes with 10.50 BMG caliber bullets, 12.7 millimeters. Impressed with the weapons from the level 1 box, Xiaoyong wonders what a level 2 or 3 box would give him. Maybe a tank? And this infection blocker, does that mean it can cure someone before they completely turn into a zombie? He then comments that he can't wait to open the level 2 box and that he will make sure to finish his mission the next day, so our hero promptly starts a new mission in the system. Recruitment task requirement: recruit survivors from Rongjiang Garden. Survivors, 0 of 5. Reward, 25 points. So, to end the day on a high note, Chen Chong throws Lu Yiming's body over the fortress wall. The next day, Xiaoyong gathers his small army: Shanshan, Zhang Qi, Grandpa, and Fatty. Then, he says that from that day on, everyone must spend at least an hour practicing shooting every day. And well, all of them, including our new character, the little boy, start practicing shooting at some soda cans. Xiaoyong then asks Uncle Sheng to have Zhang Qi gather everyone and clean up some more rooms, because he will be bringing some survivors from Rongxiang Garden that day. Grandpa then encourages Xiaoyong and tells him not to worry about the fortress. Then, Xiaoyong calls Chen Chong and tells him to go with him. The zombie growls in confirmation. So Xiaoyong and his pet Cheng Chong leave the fortress. They start clearing out a bus that was full of zombies. Inside the bus, Xiaoyong hands a key to Chen Chong and says, "Here you go." Chen Chong takes it and observes it. Xiaoyong then says that he can take it off when they are alone and that he doesn't need those restrictions near him. But he asks that as soon as they arrive at Rongxiang Garden, he makes sure to put it back on so as not to scare anyone. Chen Chong growls in response. Meanwhile, at the villain's headquarters, Xiao Li complains that they haven't arrived yet. Suddenly, his henchmen warn him that they have arrived and ask Boss Li to go. Xiao Li, furious, says he refuses to believe that they can't take down Rongxiang Garden with so many men. Then, he orders the henchmen to advance. The truck then speeds off towards Rongxiang Garden. Several zombies are scattered in the middle of the road, but it doesn't last long. 2 seconds after they turn their faces, they are run over by our protagonist's bus, and something tells me that leaving a zombie behind the wheel can be somewhat dangerous. Meanwhile, inside Building 8, the group of survivors take a short break to eat. Suddenly, the boy hears the sound of an approaching engine and exclaims that it must be Brother Yong coming back for them. The policeman then asks them to calm down and wait, because he would check first. He peeks out the window and is startled to see who is arriving. Xiao Li then asks the henchman which building it is. One of them answers him, pointing that it is Building 8 behind them. Soon, Xiao Li orders the advance. The policeman then realizes that it's not Brother Yong, but the damned ones from Bichui Mountain. Frightened, the father questions what those scoundrels are doing there again if they haven't learned their lesson. The firefighter then says that since they came with guns, they will have to face them. The policeman then asks him not to be arrogant because they outnumber them, and they are all armed. He asks them to follow the plan and ambush them. He says he's going to the roof. On the roof, the policeman watches Xiao Li's group approaching and says that the distance is good enough, that a little closer, and those idiots will be within range. Suddenly, Xiao Li and his gang stop in front of the building and start shooting. Inside the building, the father and the others watch the shooting from the window and yell for cover. They then try to protect themselves as the shooting intensifies. Then, Xiao Li orders one of his henchmen to hand him the loudspeaker and for everyone to aim at the windows, and he orders them to shoot anyone who appears. Xiao Li then takes the loudspeaker and says, "Hey, hey!" Suddenly, one of his henchmen, the long-haired one, is shot. Xiao Li and the others ask, frightened, if it's a sniper. And well, another henchman is hit, this time in the leg. The policeman then orders everyone to take cover and find cover quickly. The policeman, positioned on the roof, alerts the others about long rifles and automatic weapons. Xiao Li then realizes that the information wasn't correct. They should only have one pistol, including the ones they took from the 7 idiots they sent last time, meaning only 4 pistols. Irritated, he wonders where the hell that automatic rifle came from. Then, one of his henchmen asks what they are going to do. Xiao Li then yells for them to retreat. Desperate, he asks them to wait for his signal and run all together, you idiots. And so, while fleeing, the idiot henchman is shot and falls to the ground. Xiao Li then yells for them to run on his signal. 3, 2, 1, run! Instantly, Xiao Li's gang runs off. But it was all a strategy. Xiao Li doesn't go and just watches them running while bursting into laughter. Soon after, 2 of his henchmen are hit while running. Xiao Li then says that they are probably out of ammunition. On the roof, the policeman prepares to shoot. Observing Xiao Li's movement, Xiao Li then yells for them to start the car. Then, as the car starts up, one of his henchmen yells for them to wait for him, as he hasn't gotten in yet. Suddenly, as he runs towards the truck, he is shot right in the head. The car then takes off with Xiao Li and 2 other henchmen, while being targeted by the policeman's shots. Meanwhile, our protagonist's bus continues to run over everything and everyone, including zombies and cars. Xiao Yong, inside the bus, wonders what happened. Suddenly, he sees a car approaching. Xiao Yong wonders who it is, but soon he says to forget it, that he needs to finish the mission first, because the points are more important. Then, the bus makes a sharp turn and continues on its route. Some time passes, and they finally arrive. Xiao Yong comments that it seems the rifles they left behind were useful, and he adds that the car they just saw must have belonged to the fleeing invaders. Chen Chong growls. Xiao Yong then asks if he is hungry. Chen Chong growls in response. Our hero then says that it's okay, and that he can eat. That it was better for him to eat than to become food for other zombies. Go! Chen Chong smiles. As he moves forward to devour the dead, Xiao Yong asks that, when he's finished, he meet him under Building 8 in the complex. Chen Chong then begins to feed. Soon he begins to tear the flesh of the henchman, his eyes glowing scarlet red. I think it had been a while since he ate anything. Well, I guess it's useful to have a pet zombie in the middle of the apocalypse. Xiao Yong walks among the bodies, observing the damage. He thinks about the brutality of Li Hongli. The little boy then, looking through the broken window, spots Xiao Yong and, surprised, confirms that it is him. He then shouts for him, "Brother Xiao Yong!" Our hero looks up towards the window. Soon, everyone leaves the building to greet him. Xiao Yong asks the police officer if it was he who defeated all those men, and thanking him for the rifle, the police officer boasts about his skills as a shooter. Suddenly, a roar echoes, startling everyone. An infected man starts walking towards them. But calm down, it's just our dear Chen Chong. The police officer points his gun while shouting a warning about the approaching zombie, but Xiao Yong calmly approaches the group and tells them to calm down, as he is one of them. Confused, the police officer asks what he means by one of them. Xiao Yong points to other infected and tells Chen Chong to go and feed on them. Our zombie then confirms with a roar. The police officer, even more confused, asks what is happening and if Xiao Yong can talk to zombies. Xiao Yong explains that that is not an ordinary zombie and asks everyone to get on the bus. He says he will explain everything on the way. Our protagonist tells Chen Chong to feed quickly and then meet them on the bus. The zombie then makes a hand signal confirming that he understood. Immediately afterwards, Chen Chong puts on his gas mask and walks towards the bus where Xiao Yong and the others are waiting for him. Inside the bus, the little boy, surprised, wonders if Chen Chong actually put on a muzzle. Muzzle? Careful. If he hears that, he might hit you, affirms our hero. The boy, astonished, says he thought it was kind of stylish. Chen Chong then gets on the bus. Everyone, astonished, watches him climbing the steps. Inside the bus, the police officer, frightened, asks if the bus is tilting. Then, Chen Chong, holding the key, says some incomprehensible words to Xiao Yong. Our hero asks, surprised, if Chen Chong can talk now. Chen Chong tries to speak again and repeats the word key. Xiao Yong observes the key in his hand and thinks that after eating 6 bodies, Chen Chong seems to be evolving. He decides that they need to go back to convert the points into strength. Then Chen Chong returns to the wheel of the bus and Xiao Yong warns everyone to hold on. The police officer thinks, incredulous, if he really is a zombie. Now, in a meeting room, one of the bosses complains about Xiao Li's incompetence. Xiao Li tries to justify himself, saying that it wasn't his fault and that the enemy had automatic rifles. The Kai Gay questions how a small-town cop would have rifles. "Do you think I'm an idiot?" he asks. Xiao Li insists that it's true and asks them to send someone to check. Suddenly, Xiao Li is kicked by the guy in the lab coat. The fat man falls to the ground. The guy in the lab coat then thinks about how tired he is of that useless idiot. He decides that maybe it's time to act, since his men have suffered heavy losses. Then, a mustachioed man named Shu says that he is only eyeing the woman next to Xiao Li, but the guy in the lab coat smiles maliciously and tells them to think of her as a common good. Kai Gay says not to rush, that he would find an opportunity first. Meanwhile, Xiao Li, behind the door, listens to the whole conversation. He gets irritated. Outside the building, in another house, Xiao Li, irritated, throws everything he sees in front of him on the floor. Soon, the slut arrives asking what is happening. Then, he asks her to calm down. Xiao Li, nervous, asks her to pack her things quickly as they are leaving. She asks where they are going. The fat man replies that that place won't be safe for long and that they need to plan ahead. Quickly, he calls one of his henchmen, Qingzi, Qingzi. Then, Qingzi approaches and asks what the boss's orders are. Xiao Li asks him to gather the remaining brothers because at midnight, the show will begin. Then, the slut watches him seriously. Meanwhile, our protagonist's new companions arrive at the fortress. The boy, impressed with the size of the place, comments that it really is a doomsday fortress. Inside the bus, Xiao Yong receives a mission complete notification: recruit survivors. He receives a reward of 25 points and a bonus of 5 points, totaling 66 points. Our hero comments that exceeding the goal comes with bonuses. He then tells Chen Chong that tomorrow night he will go with him to the South District. Soon, the police officer asks why they are going to the South District. Xiaoyong says that there is some unfinished business to take care of there, and says that he needs to settle the score with those people in the Bichui Mountain Village. Back in his room, Xiaoyong looks at the system store for a level 2 box, which costs 50 points. Then he touches the spot and redeems a level 2 high-tech supply box. The system displays a successfully redeemed box message, deducting 50 points and leaving 16 points. Suddenly, an intense light emerges. He then says, "Don't disappoint me." The system displays the reward, Vigor Enhancement Potion plus 20. Xiao Yong, observing the vial, is astonished by the reward. Our hero then injects the potion while shouting. He feels his body energized and comments on his 33 vigor points, more than 6 times a normal person, and describes the feeling of having his whole body strengthened. Suddenly, Xiaoyong hears a buzzing sound. Xiaoyong quickly grabs a mosquito. He observes it carefully. Xiaoyong then releases it. Apparently, his speed has improved a lot, because it's hell to catch a mosquito like that. The orange sunset sky colors the landscape. Xiaoyong, Chen Chong, and the police officer leave the fortress. The police officer asks if Xiaoyong is going to the south side of the city. Xiaoyong confirms and asks if he needs anything. The police officer asks if he has any instructions. Our hero then asks Xiaoyong to train everyone, as his shooting skills are probably the best among them. The police officer then confirms, assuring that this is his specialty. Then, calling for Chen Chong, Xiaoyong announces his departure. The bus then leaves the fortress. In a room, a henchman asks the boss if Ching is already in position. He replies that he is. The boss then orders the departure. Xiao Li and the others leave the building. Then they see a car approaching. The guy in the lab coats group then arrives at the location. They prepare to act. Then Xiao Li watches the parked car and sees the traitor next to the guy in the lab coat. The fat man asks incredulously what is happening. Dong Shu then gets out of the car and asks where they are going. Dong Shu, asks the fat man, and says that they were planning to take advantage of the darkness to try their luck at Rongxiang Garden. The mustachioed man smiles and asks if he said Rongxiang Garden. Then, one of the henchmen throws the already unconscious Qing on the ground. Then, calling for Qing, Xiao Li despairs. Our villain then punches one of his own henchmen, telling him to open his eyes. Then, Xiao Li asks who that guy is and says he doesn't remember him. Soon, Dong Shu orders his henchmen to take action. Then, Dong Shu and his group start shooting. Xiao Li then puts his hand on his head. Astonished, he looks down. Xiao Li then wonders what Dong Shu is doing. The mustachioed man points to the car and asks the traitor if he knows who is inside. The fat man then becomes furious. The guy in the lab coat, the redhead, and Jing Jing look at him carefully. The crazy guy then warns Xiao Li that Jing Jing has already told everything about his betrayal plan. Xiao Li, enraged, curses Kui Jing for betraying him and lunges forward while 2 other henchmen hold him back. The guy then asks Zhang how they should handle that situation. Then, Zhang smiles maliciously. Next, Xiao Li despairs and begins to suffocate. Yes, they started playing hangman with him. He tries to breathe, but the rope around his neck prevents him. Meanwhile, one of the henchmen pulls the rope more and more. Xiao Li coughs, choking. "Goodbye, fatty. We won't miss you." Then, Xiao Yong and Chen Chong approach the location. Xiao Yong and Chen Chong jump the wall, leaving the bus behind. They then head towards the property. Xiao Li, still hanging, despairs. Xiao Yong asks Chen Chong to wait and watches him, commenting that he deserved it. However, he says he hoped that he would be the one to kill him, cursing him as a pathetic dog. Suddenly, Xiao Yong throws a stone, which hits the rope, causing it to break. The fat man falls face first to the ground. Then, Xiaoyong calmly says that since his end was pathetic, he would help him get revenge. Now, inside the building, Jing Jing has fun with everyone she sees. The wretch, handcuffed, says that she did a good job and asks what her reward is. Then she smiles and moans as the redhead kisses her neck and asks what he thinks of that reward. Then, the dark blue-haired guy hears a noise and, suspicious, asks what that sound is. He watches carefully and, confused, notices something through the window. 2 men on the ground, dead. Suddenly, someone breaks down the door. The redhead and the others are startled and ask ask what is happening. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaoyong makes an absurd jump going from the floor to the window in an instant. Xiaoyong stares at them coldly. A knife is placed on the neck of the sucker who was at the window. He questions what is happening. Scared, he gulps as his throat is slit. Xiaoyong then goes on the attack. The redhead, surprised, calls him a bastard, asking who he is. Jing, upon seeing him, shouts, "Jiang Xiaoyong?" But soon Xiaoyong throws his knife. The redhead coughs as he is pierced. And then the slut screams, desperate, as the boss falls to the floor, naked, lifeless, and without dignity. Scared, she asks what he wants. Xiaoyong smiles and asks if they are having fun. Xiaoyong wonders what the scum Li Shuxiong would think if he saw her like this. Frightened, Jing wonders about Li Shuxiong. Suddenly, Li Shuxiong, transformed into a zombie, appears, roaring as he runs towards her. He gets closer and closer. Crying, she asks Jiang Xiaoyong for forgiveness and begs him to let her go. But it's too late. The zombie devours her, and an agonizing scream echoes through the place. Our hero then finally takes revenge on those who betrayed him by closing the door and leaving the two suckers there. Outside the location, Xiaoyong orders Chen Chong to eat the corpses. Then, Chen Chong says that he will only eat one at most. Xiaoyong turns around, and with his incredible hearing, he hears something. A group of people huddled in a corner. Two men walk towards the group, one of them with a knife in his hand and a chef's outfit. Then one of them, holding the arm of a little girl, says that she is soft and tender and that she is perfect. The girl screams in despair, but the cook says that she is too skinny. Then, pointing to a boy, he suggests that they take that one. The cook says that he is fat. Begging, the boy's mother shouts for them to let him go. He then curses her and orders her to get lost. Meanwhile, he attacks her, throwing her away while the poor boy screams, desperate, calling for his mother. Crying, the woman begs him to spare her son. Then she shouts to the other hostages to save her son, begging for mercy. Confused, they hear a noise and ask, "Who is there?" Hearing the sound of a shotgun, the cook wonders who still has one. Then, one of his henchmen replies that no one does, only the boss. Meanwhile, the woman, hugging her son, asks if he is okay. Suddenly, the door is broken down. The cook orders someone to go check. The henchman gets scared and asks if it's him. Then, impatiently, the cook yells at him to go quickly. The henchman then goes to the door with his weapon, nervous and sweating cold. And looking outside, a hand pulls him. He screams, terrified, as he is sucked out of the place. His friends shout that it's a zombie and order them to shoot it. Several shots are fired towards the door. The group continues shooting non-stop, and they warn to be careful. Suddenly, Chen Chong, with his gas mask, invades the place, roaring and leaping towards them. Frightened, the cook screams, but the zombie grabs him too. Then Chen Chong twists the big guy's head in an instant. The zombie quickly runs to the other side of the room. While the bandits shoot at him, the zombie roars, attacking every sucker he sees. They call for help, while more shots are fired. Surprised, the group comments that the zombie is not attacking them. Astonished, they wonder what's up with that zombie. Suddenly, Xiao Yong enters the place, commenting that Chen Chong is amazing, that even without taking off the chains and mask, he is still very fast. Chen Chong then, growling, says that it makes him even cooler. The hostages are startled when they realize that the zombie spoke. Wow, that's it, guys. Chen Chong just went up in my character ranking of this work. He's my top 2. Chen Chong, with his gas mask, observes the group of survivors. Meanwhile, the woman hugs her daughter, trembling with fear. Then Xiao Yong reassures the woman, saying that Chen Chong will not attack them. The woman, still scared, describes Chen Chong as a super monster who kills without blinking. Our hero just observes her, trying to think how to proceed. Then he asks the woman if she has ever seen a creature similar to Chen Chong before. The woman confirms and says that she saw one at the decoration market in East City. Xiao Yong is surprised by the rapid appearance of mutants and mentions that the decoration market is close to Old Tea City. Our intrigued zombie mutant asks what he meant by that, and Xiao Yong explains that, just like Chen Chong, there are rare mutants whose level of rationality and memory varies, increasing their hunting efficiency beyond regular zombies. But due to unstable mutations, most rare mutants are highly dangerous and unpredictable. Chen Chong then wonders what is happening to him, but our hero reassures him, saying that he is one of the lucky ones and that with him there, he won't let him lose his mind. Then, he asks the group about other survivors, who confirm there are people in the sales office and possibly more in the basement. Next, Xiao Yang, Chen Chong, and the group head to the sales office. Opening the door, they come across a disturbing scene. He discovers that they capture survivors from the surrounding area every day and massacre them. Xiao Yang asks if this is why there are no other survivor camps in the southern city. He questions how they kill so many people and if they eat everything, but they explain that the meat is moved and their numbers are unknown. Xiao Yang says he knows approximately how many of them there are and that there are definitely too many to eat, and asks if they could be feeding the zombies. Then, he asks about the sales office. The man explains that the sales office is near the south gate, about a kilometer away, and explains that the captured people are initially held there and then sent to be killed. Xiao Yang is then astonished and immediately afterward receives a serial mission notification, Rebuild Utopia, with the objective of expanding the community and increasing its score as much as possible. Xiao Yang and Chen Chong then head to the sales office. Meanwhile, outside the office, two fools are talking. One of them asks if he heard gunshots coming from the north gate, and the other replies that yes, and explains that they are using live people for target practice. Chen Chong then stealthily approaches and roars, and as they are massacred, the two men scream in terror, "Zombies!" Inside the office, 4 naked women are sitting on the floor, frightened. Suddenly, they hear footsteps approaching and become alert. They wonder what is happening outside. One of them begs to let them do whatever they want as long as they don't come in. Suddenly, the doorknob starts to turn. Desperate, the woman repeatedly yells for them not to enter. But unlike other times, it was only our hero, Xiao Yang, who opens the door and orders everyone to come out. The women leave the room and join the other group. Then, they ask Xiao Yang if he is really willing to provide them with a safe place, and he confirms, but warns that everyone will have to work. The survivors readily respond that it's no problem and that they are all capable of working. Xiao Yang then says there is no time to lose and that they must leave immediately. Then our hero and the group of survivors finally leave the office on the bus and head towards the fortress. Arriving at the fortress, Shan Shan and Zhang Qi, excited, spot the bus and shout that Brother Yang is back and run to open the gate. Xiao Yang says he can't just let them in yet. Then the survivors ask where they will live, and he explains that there are temporary cabins and iron fences set up outside the fortress, and that, although it's not as safe as inside, the conditions are better than in most settlements. Then he says that there are many unused spaces and unfinished buildings in that old tea city, and over time, with everyone's help, he can improve the conditions there. Soon, the survivors thank Xiao Yang for his generosity and call him their savior. The next day, a beautiful sunny day dawns amidst the blue sky. A car and a pickup truck then arrive at the place where the survivors were imprisoned. Suddenly, a woman snorts with anger. She asks why no one is answering and questions what Zhang Qingwen is doing. Suspicious, she mutters that something is wrong. Then, the woman and her henchmen enter the premises. Meanwhile, in another room, the fat fool and his henchmen are already transformed into zombies, wandering aimlessly around the place. Then, they growl and approach the woman, but she just delivers a chop with the outside of her hand that knocks the already unconscious fatty out cold. Next, she starts slashing all 3 of them with a small knife, and finally she starts cleaning it with a cloth. Then the henchman asks the woman what they will do now that Zhang Qingwen is dead, and she replies that they have no choice and will have to take care of the situation themselves. But before that, she says that she will deal with anyone who dares to mess with them, and states that she will kill them. Next, she walks out of the place and down the stairs. Then, the henchman tells her, Sister Rui, that not a single person is left alive. She then asks about the meat, and the henchman says that the meat is still all there. So she orders him to bring the truck and load it up. Then the pickup truck approaches, and they start loading the black meat bags into it. Suddenly, Rui is startled by something. Then the henchman asks her if she found something, and she just bends down and starts observing the tire tracks. Then Rui mutters that she will check who could have done that. Meanwhile, at the fortress, Xiao Yang observes the system and reflects on how to increase the community score. He thinks that population size is probably a key factor. Then he says that land is abundant and thanks the the snobby guy for that. Soon, he remembers the rare mutant and widens his eyes. Outside, as our hero enters through the gate accompanied by his friends, some people cheer, happy to see him. Suddenly, a woman kneels before him while calling him savior, but he asks her to stand up. He then talks to a woman holding a bowl and asks where she saw the super monster she mentioned. She replies that it was at the Huarenfa market in the Decoration City, and explains that at that time, her group went to the market to look for supplies when they came across that monster. She continues, explaining that several people were killed and that, in the chaos, everyone got separated. The woman, in tears, says that she and her daughter fled and found the people from Beachui Mountain Village. At first, they thought they were safe, but those people were monsters. Suddenly, Xiaoyong thinks of Huarenfa. Shanshan then says that there are still many supplies and that there is no need to provoke that monster, but he replies that the most important thing is that Decoration City is less than 2 kilometers away and concludes that they cannot let a monster threaten their safety so close. Then, the woman drops the bowl on the floor and begs him not to go, as that monster kills without hesitation. But our hero reassures her, saying not to worry as they know what they are doing. He then orders Jiang Qi to call Chen Chong and says they will pay a visit to that monster. Now, in another location, another group walks towards a shopping mall. They move forward, each holding some kind of improvised weapon. Suddenly, one of the men in the group tells the other guy not to be too optimistic, as the place may have already been looted, and the woman in the group tells him not to be so pessimistic, as they have been to many supermarkets, and there is always a lot left. Then, one of the men asks, how many people have the courage and ability to move freely in the apocalypse like them, and laughs. Next, the group enters the mall. They walk through the place, each with their weapon at the ready. And after walking a bit, they arrive at a gym equipment store. The woman comments that the place has already been looted, but not completely. Suddenly, someone bangs a pot against the wall, creating a frightening sound. The woman then screams, asking if anyone is there. They wait for an answer, but silence takes over the place. Suddenly, in the distance, some zombies start to come out of one of the mall's rooms, and in panic, everyone starts screaming for attention. The zombies quickly approach them, while the woman orders them to attack carefully. But to our surprise, this doesn't become a problem, as the group crushes all the zombies in an instant. The leader then smiles and comments that it was easy, and one of the men comments that there weren't many zombies, that the main horde must have been attracted by the last group that looted the place, and celebrates by saying that it was their lucky day. But he orders them to stay alert as they walk through the mall. Meanwhile, in the shadows, a mutant zombie with claws and glowing eyes watches the group from afar. He growls, and then starts saying, "Fresh prey," repeatedly. A short time later, the group arrives at a store and marvels at the amount of supplies, saying it would last for years. Then, the leader smiles and points to the other side of the store and excitedly shouts that it's a bed. Then, she throws herself on it and says she will stay there. Excited, they ask if they shouldn't settle there, and everyone agrees, saying it's a great idea. One of them says he will smoke, and his friend invites him to go together. Then, he takes his lighter and lights it, and while they smoke, one of them asks the other if they should really stay there. Then, he replies that the mall has many entrances and exits, which makes it difficult to defend, and also that with so many supplies, the place will attract other people. But he explains that upon entering, he saw a 2-story building that looked good. Suddenly, the guy in white clothes is startled by something. In an instant, the mutant zombie appears in front of him, impaling his smoking friend, smiling and saying that his soft flesh must taste delicious. Desperate, he starts running in the opposite direction, saying, "It's a ghost." Scared, the other members of the group wonder what is happening. But before they could do anything, the guy in white clothes spits blood as the mutant's blades pierce him. And in front of everyone, his backpack falls to the ground, as his body is torn in half. Sounding cold, the leader wonders what that is, and orders everyone to retreat and get out of there. But they reply that they won't be able to escape. Desperate, they start running. But the mutant zombie advances laughing and saying that no one will escape. Then, he pierces the back of the girl in the business suit, who screams as she falls. Next, the mutant's hand gets closer and closer. Meanwhile, the leader screams, saying she doesn't want to die. At the same instant, the guy running right behind her is killed too. But she doesn't stop and runs towards the emergency exit. Hopeful, but unaware that her entire group had already been decimated, she yells that they are almost there. But suddenly, she trips and falls to the ground, just watching that monstrosity approaching as she kneels. But to her surprise, she sees another monster approaching from the opposite direction and starts to cry. Scared, she starts screaming and crosses her arms to try to defend herself. Meanwhile, Chen Chong, with his mask, approaches her, and crying, she says she doesn't want to die. But our zombie hero just walks past her, and surprised, she watches him. Xiaoyong then reassures her and tells her not to be afraid. Confused, she wonders who he is. Our hero smiles and introduces himself as the person who bought the land where she worked. Soon, Xiaoyong asks if she is that real estate agent. Then he starts to remember her and asks if her name is Ning Wanwan, the woman who helped him at the beginning of everything. But she screams saying it's a ghost and that there's a monster in the mall and begs them to run. But our hero reassures her, saying that everything is all right as the monster has already been taken care of. Then, Wanwan hugs our hero and looks back and is immediately astonished by what she sees. And there was Chen Chong, holding back the mutant's arm, who laughs and asks if he wants to take everything for himself. Xiaoyong then asks Chen Chong if he can handle it alone, and our zombie hero confirms that he will try. Next, he jumps back, and the mutant zombie says that it's the first time he's met someone like him. Soon, he advances towards Chen Chong, and then attacks him with a blow that causes a crater in the ground. The mutant zombie wonders if eating another like him will accelerate his evolution. But at the same instant, Chen Chong approaches and attacks him. Soon, he explodes a punch right in the mutant's face that makes him crash to the ground. The mutant zombie becomes enraged and says that he has some strength. But immediately afterward, our zombie hero appears behind him and prepares to strike him again with his leg. Soon, he delivers a devastating blow, but the mutant manages to dodge, jumping and sticking to the ceiling like a spider. And immediately afterward, he roars and says that the power he was accumulating from hunting will finally be useful. Chen Chong is astonished. The mutant then laughs and lunges at him. Immediately afterward, he unleashes a flurry of punches on our zombie hero. Jiang Qi yells, calling Xiaoyong, warning that Chen Chong is losing, while being impressed by the monster's strength. Xiaoyong agrees, thinking that if they had waited any longer, the monster would be unstoppable. Then he materializes a weapon. Wanwan, surprised, wonders how he did that. Xiaoyong asks Chen Chong to hold on for just one more second and promises that he won't bother him again afterward. Immediately afterward, our zombie grabs the mutant's hands, who screams, calling him a bastard and asking him to let go. Then our hero shoots, and the mutant zombie is hit in the middle of the head, making him stagger backward. But soon after, he recovers, but still screaming in pain. And enraged, he roars, saying that he will kill him. Soon, Jiang Qi wonders if even after being shot in the head, he still hasn't died. Xiaoyong then shoots repeatedly at the mutant. With that, he begins to take severe damage while screaming in pain. And in moments, he falls to the ground, and Jiang Qi asks if he's dead. Xiaoyong then suggests to Chen Chong that he try eating the monster, as it might make him stronger. Soon, a system notification appears. Mission progress. Dangerous elements removed. Community score +1. Current score 3. Reward points 10. Current points 46. He then celebrates, saying that it really counts. Soon, he says that since they are there, they won't leave empty-handed and suggests they clear the supermarket. The woman then wonders what he means by clearing the place. Then, Xiaoyong materializes some supplies from the supermarket. Wanwan and Jiang Qi are impressed by his ability, wondering what kind of magic that is. Next, our hero smiles and says that instead of letting those bodies turn into zombies, he would give them to Chen Chong to eat, and asks if he's still hungry. Sometime later at the fortress, a sports car approaches. Meanwhile, Rui and her henchmen observe everything from inside the car, and through binoculars they observe the tower and movement at the site. People walking, makeshift cabins and tents. The henchman then comments that there are a decent number of people, poorly armed, and that their only advantage is that their warehouse is quite robust. Soon, the driver asks how they managed to take down Zhang Qingwen and Lin Guangkai. Then, Rui explains that it's obvious, sneaky tactics, and says that she had warned before that the village district wasn't a safe base. She laughs and says that heaven must be taking pity on them, sending prey and a new base their way, and her henchman agrees, saying that it almost makes him feel guilty. Then, the driver asks what the plan is and if they will start the attack, but Rui replies that no, they will return, regroup, and bring more weapons and people before attacking. Then, the car turns around and speeds off, but meanwhile, our heroes return home. Inside the car, Wan asks Zhang Qi if it's true that the fortress has hot water for showering, and he confirms, exciting her even more. Meanwhile, Xiaoyong watches the road carefully. Suddenly, he alerts them to the presence of someone ahead and asks him to prepare their weapons. Zhang Qi in the back seat holds a weapon. Then, Rui's silver car passes by them. Xiaoyong watches her carefully as they approach, and Rui does the same. Next, a new mission notification appears. Deadly Enemy, Volume 1. Mission requirement, resist the invasion. Reward points, 50. Xiaoyong, upon reading the notification, wonders if it could be those guys. Next, they arrive at the fortress, and Shan comes down from the tower to greet them. Soon, our hero asks her if any strangers have been around recently. Shan says that she saw a car passing in the distance and points in the direction they went, saying that she thought it was them returning, and with that, she asks if there's something wrong. Xiaoyong asks her to tell Uncle Sheng and Old Li to gather everyone, as he has an important announcement to make. Then, in a neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, a message is broadcast over the radio asking survivors to go to the coal plant in the southern neighborhood, as they are establishing a settlement there and need people. Then, a group walks, searching for the coal plant mentioned in the radio message. Suddenly, they spot a car and rejoice at the possibility of finding other survivors. Soon, the car stops and Rui gets out. She asks if they heard the broadcast and asks them to join. At the same instant, she walks towards them, and a fool blushes at her immense chest. Rui then says that they arrived just in time and asks them to follow her. One of the men thanks her, relieved. But looking at his partner with a sadistic smile, he says that the car is not far from there, but it won't fit everyone, and that they will have to walk from there. Then, they walk towards the agreed-upon location. Soon, the group is impressed by the size of the place. Then, the fool says he needs to use the bathroom and asks to go outside first. But Rui says he doesn't need to, as there's a bathroom inside, and asks him to follow her, and he accompanies her to the bathroom. Next, the guy starts to pee, but meanwhile, he starts looking at Rui sadistically. Soon, she crosses her arms and smiles maliciously. Then he states that he knows what's going on in her mind and asks her not to be shy and says that his little Donald Duck is very strong. Suddenly, Rui sticks a knife in his neck and he quickly falls unconscious. Rui then comments that she thought he would be a good catch, but says he's useless. Next, one of the henchmen says that he's already taken care of everything, and she asks him to drag the one from the bathroom outside as well and call number 2 and number 3. Next, in a meeting room, Xiaoyong and the others discuss the attack they will suffer. The policeman then asks who would be targeting them, and our hero replies that they know nothing about the enemy and that from that moment on, they could face an attack at any time. Then, he asks Zhang Qi and Chen Chong to go with him later to clear the unfinished building to the southeast, and that they would relocate the refugees there temporarily, because otherwise, they would become cannon fodder during the attack. Shan and the fat guy ask to go along with Xiaoyong. Motivated, everyone else states that they also want to help, including the little boy, but his mother scolds him, asking if he has any idea what he's talking about. Xiaoyong says that the area should be relatively safe. He then says that Uncle Sheng and Old Li will stay to protect the base, and that the rest can go with him. Next, the group, led by Xiaoyong, leaves the fortress and walks towards the building. Arriving at the location, they encounter some zombies still alive, and they start eliminating them. Some of them, not yet used to killing zombies, struggle with the combat, but in the end, everything goes well. Xiaoyong asks if anyone is hurt, and everyone replies that they are not. Then our hero says that in the next few days, they could be attacked. and then asks them to settle there for now. The group of extras readily state that they can fight and say they want to contribute. Xiaoyong agrees and instructs the team to clear the area before anything else. He promises to send weapons and ammunition later, explaining that when the enemy attacks, they will communicate by radio and must follow his orders without question. Then, Rui and the others start unloading the dead humans from the truck and cars. A henchman asks Rui how things are going. He asks how it went and if everything went well. Soon, the big guy next to him asks for human meat. Rui says that Bichue Mountain was exterminated and that, from now on, the food is on them, as their henchmen were eliminated. Astonished, he asks who did it, and the big guy complains that there is no human meat and that he is not happy. Rui replies that it was a group from the eastern suburbs and that there are many of them. She says that tomorrow morning, she will lead a team to eliminate them. Back in his room, Xiaoyong observes the system and says that he has 46 points and decides to check if the system has new boxes. He celebrates and says that he finally has a new stock, and is astonished that there are 2 level 2 boxes and that together they cost 40 points. He then says to see what the items in them are. The system then displays the description of one of them. Overload, physical strength, level 1, increases personal stats by 25%. After the effect ends, the user enters a state of weakness. Xiaoyong reflects that the increase is 25%, raising his 33 physical strength points to over 40. He concludes that this is equivalent to possessing strength 8 times greater than that of an ordinary person. Excited, he states that he is eager to test his new ability. Outside, Rui and her henchmen approach the fortress in their cars and motorcycles. One of her henchmen asks what her instructions are, and Rui orders everyone to reiterate the attack strategy. She then says that first, everyone will run over everything and kill all the refugees outside, and that, as soon as number 2 starts breaking down the door, everyone will use the modified vehicle as cover for suppressive fire. The big guy says that he is hungry and that he wants to kill and eat. Rui and her henchmen speed off in their vehicles. Meanwhile, Xiaoyong and the policeman observe everything from atop the fortress. The policeman comments that the location is more hidden, but that the view is much worse than that from the watchtower, and that the blind spots along the wall are enormous. But Xiaoyong tells him not to worry, as being there is not about having a good view. The policeman then asks what the purpose is, and Xiaoyong states that he remembers him saying that he worked as a sniper for a few years. The policeman says that he was mistaken and that it was only a few months, and on top of that, as a temporary replacement. But our hero asks if he can shoot accurately at a distance of 100 to 200 meters. Soon, the policeman tells him not to underestimate him because, as long as the wind isn't too strong, he can hit his target at up to 500 meters. Xiaoyong smiles. But suddenly, Zhang Qi arrives and warns that things have arrived. He asks what that is, as it's very heavy. Astonished, the policeman watches our hero open a wooden box. Then, he opens the box, revealing a Barrett rifle. The policeman is astonished by the weapon and asks Xiaoyong where he got it from, saying that it's not something just anyone can get their hands on. But our hero says that he only has 2 bullets, a total of 10 shots, and asks him to use them sparingly. The policeman says that he understands and takes it. Soon, Xiaoyong asks if everyone is ready, and Zhang Qi replies that they are. Then he says to warn everyone to be alert, as the enemy could appear at any moment. Shanshan spots something unusual and warns the others. The policeman confirms that he also saw it and orders everyone to prepare for the enemy attack. Inside the car, one of the henchmen comments that the refugees who were outside the wall have disappeared and asks if they were massacred to be used as food as well. And the driver asks if they should stop the car and observe. But Rui says to keep moving forward because if they are spotted close enough, the attack will become much more difficult. Then she orders all units to advance. Soon, Rui and her henchmen speed towards the fortress. Shanshan orders everyone to take cover near the wall and to shoot. Then, Xiaoyong's group starts shooting at the approaching enemies. Some bullets hit the car's metal, but others hit the drivers directly. At the same instant, some enemy cars start to skid, causing a big unexpected accident for them. Rui is then again astonished as they were discovered, and she orders them to keep advancing and take cover near the wall. Soon, the two cars and one of the motorcyclists approach the wall, stopping immediately afterward. At the same instant, the big guy stomps on the ground, making the place tremble, and with a giant chainsaw, he roars and yells that he wants to kill. Next, he starts sawing the gate at full speed. Hearing the noise, Xiao Yong's group is astonished and says that someone is breaking down the door. In the tower, the group shoots at the enemies and orders them to prevent them from invading. At the same time, Rui and her henchmen shoot back, using the car as cover while yelling to suppress them and cover number 2. Meanwhile, Shan Shan is almost hit and jumps back. Next, Xiao Kai is hit as well, leaving everyone desperate. They comment that the enemies have many submachine guns and that their firepower is not much weaker than theirs. The family man then orders them not to panic, to hold their positions, and that they have enough ammunition. Then, the grandfather warns that they are cutting the main gate, and says that as soon as the gate is broken down, they will be at a disadvantage. Xiao Yong then tells them to relax, as he has a plan. Next, he leaves the fortress. Zhang Qi watches him run and asks what he's doing. Rui states that they have already used half of their ammunition, and nervously, she yells at number 2 to hurry up, and the big guy replies that it's just a little bit more. Then, the gate is finally broken down. Shashan, desperate, yells that the gate is open and orders them to support the gate and not let them in. Next, Rui smiles sadistically and says that she wants to see how those newbies will handle the terror of an evolved. She orders them to follow her and stay behind number 2, and that as soon as they enter, they should immediately take cover. Then, the big guy starts destroying the rest of the gate with his hand. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong watches everything from atop the fortress, and over the radio, he tells Li Hongli to get ready and wait for his signal. Then, he asks the policeman if he sees that big guy there, and he confirms that he's got him.